Okay, welcome. We are Finding Notice again today. This is DNW from the Finding Notice channel, and I am so privileged and delighted to have Benedictine the Truth here. I'm sure most of you know who Benedictine the Truth is. He has been spouting the truth as he sees it for a long time now on YouTube. He is a man who can walk around with the camera and speak coherently off the cuff for 1 hour, spitting out truth, questioning reality, and helping us all try to figure out what the hell is going on here. And I am, again, delighted to welcome you here, Benedictine. Benedictine the Truth, how are you doing?
I'm great, my brother. I'm great. And I'm also grateful, man, to be doing this with you. Because, like, the last time when we had a conversation, I was like, yo, man, I have to have this guy on, bro. Like, I have to. Like, I've watched your videos a couple of times, but, the last time when we had a conversation, there was a lot that I felt like, we have to discuss. So, no, I'm really grateful, man, to be having this conversation with you.
Lovely. And so, Benedictine the Truth, I suppose we're going to just chat like off the cuff. We're just going to shoot the breeze, as the Yanks say. The premise for the discussion was just to delve into what we think reality might be.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, spoiler alert, I don't know what is going on, but I am trying to figure it out. So, first question, I suppose, Benedictine, that we can start contemplating. What did you used to think reality was? Now, this is what I mean by that is you have a different view now, okay? And I'm going to say when you were like 10 years old, 15, whatever, before you started really questioning reality, what were you led to believe it was?
So what I believe reality was, I believe that we lived in a material universe created by one entity that had a good a good mission, like a good intention. So we're talking about this one entity that was like, you know what, I have the power to create reality. So I want to create a good world, and I'm going to populate that world with all these beings that I love, that are going to thrive and evolve and become better visions of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I believed. And I believe that that's what a lot of people believed. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that's what I believe reality was. I believe that it was a world that was created for all of us to thrive. But I also want you that I also want to know what you thought reality was before.
Yeah, that's so. Again, similarly, I believed this reality was created for us. I was raised a Catholic, okay,
Mm,
and that, I went to church. I was an altar boy and all that when I was a kid, and I went to Christian school and that. But we didn't really kneel down at home and say the rosary or read the Bible or anything. We were kind of cultural Christians. We did it because everybody else did it. You know what I mean? But
mm,
it was an integral part of my education. Okay. And as I said, every
mm,
Sunday, actually Saturday evenings, I used to go to mass, as they called it. And
mm,
I was an altar boy. And
mm.
it's hard to believe now, I was a
Yeah.
pious, very serious altar boy carrying an acolyte, a little candle, and
Yeah.
taking it all very seriously. Um, and very nervous as well. It was a very, I was very nervous up there in front of everybody on the altar. It was a bit nerve wracking for me. But yeah, I did that for a few years as a child.
Mm.
And yeah, I suppose my main thought, Benedictine, was other people knew what was going on. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a youngster, I looked up to older people, especially like my
Yeah.
parents' age, people older than them. And, I watched the television and I saw newsreaders, I saw politicians, anybody I saw who was an adult, teachers, goddamn priests, whoever, celebrities, sports people, whatever. I thought, you know what? These people look competent. Okay. They're highly
Mm,
focused on something. They're talking coherently, okay, about something. They seem to be heavily invested in what they're talking about. They must know what is going on.
mm,
Okay. So I suppose that was my younger self. I believed that adults knew what was going on here. Okay.
mm,
Um, and from that, I did listen to adults.
mm,
And, in school, I wasn't overly studious, but I did my homework.
mm,
And, I did what they told me to do. Obviously, I got into trouble here and there, but overall, I wasn't a bad student. You know what I mean?
mm, mm,
Um, Now, I also, as I said, I was heavily influenced by the Christian narrative. So I thought, yeah, God created this world for us as a kind of
mm,
gift.
mm,
And yeah, we are all God's children. And this is ultimately for our benefit. Now, I did believe in heaven
mm,
and hell. Okay. So I believed that, this place was a place you lived for a while and then you died. And then
mm,
after your death, you went to heaven or hell, depending on whether you'd been naughty or nice.
mm, mm.
Um, obviously very, very similar to the Santa Claus story. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was where I began. I began looking up to adults, thinking they knew what was going on. Okay. I
Mm,
believed them when they said, we are in a place created by God and there
mm,
is a heaven or hell. And when you die, you'll go to one or the other. And that's what
mm,
I believed.
mm, mm.
And
So at what point in your life did you start to doubt what you were told? Because I mean, because it kind of makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't assume that you are in a world that is just bad, you know what I'm saying? You just
right.
assume that no, this world was created by a good, loving God who has our best interest at heart. So you never think that no, man, we could be in a hell realm or we could be,
Mhm.
in some kind of a matrix or a simulation or whatever. Like you don't just think that. So, like, at what point in your life did you start to think that way?
Yeah, good question. I think I was about 18, 19 or that age.
Mm,
Up to then, I had difficult experiences, good experiences, the whole
mm,
shebang. And
mm,
but I remember I was in university and I was in my room
mm,
waiting to go socializing, and
mm,
just I just got dressed or whatever. I was about to get on a train.
mm,
Um,
mm,
But I just remember thinking, you know what? Because I'd watched Sky News in the living room before I went to get ready, and there was so much shit happening, right? And at this
mm,
time, I had just been thinking about I'd been looking at my life, at bad things that happened in my life, right? I would looked at
mm,
bad things that were happening in my friends' lives, right? Some
mm,
deaths had happened to some of my friends' parents, all right? There were some family tragedies and stuff like that. And also in the news, okay, I was watching the news a lot more, right? And taking it in. And then, university as well. I mean, I went to university and I realized, it's still kind of crazy, even though it was fun, it wasn't much different to being, it was like school. It was like being in the schoolyard. You had a lot more freedom, but it was the kind of same shit, like the schoolyard politics and all that, like popular kids, unpopular kids. And, there was a kind of pompous teacher. Yeah. There was exams, all that shit. And, I suppose I was beginning to realize, sorry, I had a part-time job as well at the time. I was working in a bar and I'd spent the summer previously working in construction. Okay. And when I was working in construction, I'd been working with men, fully grown men, and by the way, I used to do this the whole way through my teens. I worked in construction all my summer holidays and weekends and stuff, So I was used to being around older people, men and fully grown men. And I often thought these guys are kind of, sorry to say this.
No, you have to be honest.
they were infantile, a lot of them. The stuff they talked about was boring. The stuff they talked about, like the way they took the mickey out of each other, the kind of emotionality of them. They were quite mean to each other. They were still bullying, all that shit. These are fully grown men, like in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, even 50s. So yeah, that had a profound experience on me. I remember once, I've spoken about this before. One of the most worst experiences of my life was working in a meat factory. Now that was fucking horrible. Okay.
Zoom.
Yeah. I think I was about 17 or something when I worked there. And I worked in the dispatch area where they basically took frozen boxes of meat out of a cold store, right? So they obviously, I don't know, minus 20 degrees Celsius or maybe more. I don't know what the fuck it was, but we used to get them out in the forklift, put them onto, put the crates down, and then out there were metal crates, and then put the boxes onto wooden pallets, and then put them into a lorry, right? But I didn't have to see any of the gore. You know what I mean? But when I went to the toilet in that factory, I used to have to walk past where they cut the meat up, and they were what was known as boners, right? It's a funny name, but that was their name. They were boners, and these were people dressed in rubber wellies. They had hair nets on, and they had blue overalls with white coats over their blue overalls, and they spent 7-8 hours a day cutting up meat, and they were covered in blood, and there was blood dripping on the floor, into the gullies. It was a horror show, and they spent their day doing that, day in, day out. All right. Now, the funny thing is, there were some really beautiful women there. I was very young at the time, but I remember there were some Brazilian women there, some lovely looking women there.
Like they were also doing the same thing, or
they were doing the same thing. I'd be walking by, looking, wow, she's nice, and then I'm thinking, she looks so out of place. This doesn't look like a job for a beautiful woman, But as I said, there was all types of people there, and it was just their job. And I felt sorry for them at the same time, because who the fuck in their right mind would want to do that job? You know what I mean?
It doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't make sense. Like it does show that we've been brainwashed. Like there's no way you can enjoy that, bro.
No. And the thing is, it was part of my realization that desperate people have to do work they don't necessarily want to do, So that was one of the eye openers for me when I saw that, there's people doing things in this world just out of sheer desperation. You know what I mean? Now, I'm ashamed to say I didn't become vegetarian for a few years after that. And I didn't become vegan until like I was 28, So it took me a long time to fucking put the dots together in that regard. All right. But, I was brought up in a culture of what they would deem toxic masculinity now, and these things were just not spoken about, I mean, I was raised eating fucking beef, basically, and that was just what we ate, and there was no thought about it. I do remember going to farms as a teenager and seeing the animals and feeling really sorry, thinking it was weird. I thought it was really weird. but I wasn't in a situation to break out of the kind of effect of the, the culture around me. I didn't have opportunities to meet people who thought differently. Do you know what I mean? So in that regard, I suppose I didn't put too much thought into it because nobody else was. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, this is a long-winded answer to your question. Many things culminated into me starting to question whether it was the question I came up with was, why do they say God is good? Okay, that was the first question. As I said, it was about 18, 19. And I was in the room at university, and I thought, why do they say God is good? That was just a question that came into my head, and I thought
it's
in
a
my head,
valid question.
I thought, you know what? He could be bad. I mean, it also makes sense to say he could be bad. God could be evil. That's what. And I remember being in my room, being absolutely flabbergasted that could make sense. That the creator of this world could be evil. I just remember thinking, holy shit. No one's ever said that before. Like, to me, it was like a revelation, like a personal revelation, because I'd never, ever heard that before. All I'd ever heard is people saying, oh, God is great. Fucking, I've been surrounded by all manner of Christians, from Catholics to fucking evangelicals, Pentecostals, fucking Presbyterians, fucking Seventh-day Adventists. I've seen them all. And I'd never, ever heard anybody question God, question the creator. But when I remember that it was a very fleeting thought, Benedictine, very fleeting thought. As I said, 18, 19. But you know what, Benedictine? Much like the horror show I saw in that meat factory, again, I didn't think about it again for many, many years, which I'm ashamed to say.
It's weird. You know what makes it weird is because you are seeing all these evil things that are happening, but I don't know, because it kind of shows you how brainwashing really works, because you think that it doesn't really have like a real effect. When you see people getting brainwashed, you don't think that it will actually have like a real effect until people start acting in a way that doesn't really make sense. Because that's the thing, like, you growing up, you were being brainwashed, so even when you were watching the horror or and all the negative things happening, the all the ghost stuff happening, you're kind of like, this is normal, right? Because of how you're programmed to think. But then after some time, when you kind of like did your own thinking, you were like, no, this doesn't make sense. So I think that's what happens with with a lot of people in general.
Absolutely. Well, you know what, Benedict? I don't know if it happens with a lot of people. This is the thing. I think it's such a scary thought that most people don't want to contemplate it.
Yeah.
It's do you know what I mean? It's a very uncomfortable thought to think that whoever created this might not be on our side. Because obviously they have a power over us. Now, I was going to say, I didn't actually think about that matter, right? Bear in mind, I was about 19 when I had that thought. I didn't think about that again until I was about 31, 32, that age. That's insane. I never contemplated it again, because by that time, I stopped going to church when I was about 17, all right? As soon as I got away from home, basically, I stopped going to church, you understand? Now, that wasn't to say I wasn't a believer in God. I still prayed from time to time. Do you know what I mean? But that was something I did, I suppose, when I was in trouble, as in most people pray when they're in trouble, people who have been raised, you pray to get out of a tight spot or something. But anyway, religion wasn't a major, organized religion was never, in my adult life, was never something that I was entangled with. But I have dilly-dallied. I have danced with it here and there. I've been to Bible studies and stuff like that. I just wanted to say, I didn't think about it again, Benedict, until I was about 31, 32. And do you want to know what made me think about it again? I was, at the time, I had a business, and I was working as well part-time in the evenings in a bar for a friend, all right? Now, that wasn't every night, but some nights I did it as a favor. But this bar was a particularly a dingy place. It was a shithole. And it was very rough, all right? But there was someone in there, a very peculiar character, probably one of the most peculiar people I've ever met. I won't say too much about them because they are so peculiar that it would risk, revealing
No,
them.
I get you. I get you.
Yeah, yeah. But they were a very peculiar person, and to be honest with you, I didn't like them. They were a man, but very, very strange person indeed. Anyway, I was working there. They were a drinker there, and they used to come up to the bar and buy 2 drinks at a time, all right, and then go and sit at their table, right? Now, it was clear to me this person's a fucking alcoholic, and I felt bad because I said to my boss, you shouldn't be giving someone's fucking drink 2 drinks, if they're an alcoholic, and he's like, oh, we're in this to make money, Anyway, that's one of many examples of my distaste and disdain for, the corporate drive, the drive
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make money over people.
So
I hate
you don't actually care about people's well-being. You just care about the money that you can make off them. So even if
some
they're
people.
killing themselves, as long as you're
Yeah,
making money off it,
yeah.
you go.
I mean, it's a huge issue, and it's one of the most horrible issues out there. I mean, particularly in London, there's bars everywhere, and they just serve alcoholics. There's fucking off licenses, sometimes run by Muslims who don't even drink.
I
Right? For
didn't
them,
even
drink.
know that it can happen that side. Because in South Africa, yes, it's like that. There are a lot of people who have alcohol businesses, but they don't have licenses. I didn't know it's also
No,
like
sorry.
that.
Off license is actually a legal term here because it means it's people can buy the drink without having to go to the pub. It's actually a legal thing. It's allowed. It's not like under the table shit. It's just the terminology. So it just means it's off the premises. So it's like a shop that sells alcohol. You know what I mean? You go in there to buy. I think they call it a liquor store in America. It's like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sometimes they're run by Muslims who, for them, alcohol is haram, and they're still fucking. I just don't understand this world. Why people do what they do? It's like, what the fuck? It's all about money. Anyway,
yeah, it is.
Anyway, when I was working in that bar, this particular character was drinking those 2 drinks, and I went over to collect some glasses. All right, and basically, when I did, I saw he was reading a magazine. And it was one of these heavy metal magazines, right? And because that's what he was into. And on the back page, just as I was walking by, there was this picture of this cartoon kind of resemblance of a band, okay, like a lead singer and guitarist and that, and they're all in this kind of theatrical pose, typical fucking 1970s-ish kind of, I don't know, it was like glamour rockish looking shit, heavy metal, like like Kiss,
No,
like they look.
I think I've seen those. I've seen them because I kind of listen to them sometimes, but I would like to like listen to them more. Yeah.
Anyway, it was in the cartoon format, and above it was written "Killing Jokes." All right. So then I said, I said, "What's that, man?" And he said, "Killing Joke." I said, "Killing Jokes." And he said, "Oh yeah, it's probably a bit before your time. It's the name of a band." All right. So then I said, "Killing Jokes." That's a bit of a weird name for a fucking band. That's what I thought. I thought that's a shit name for a band. Basically, that's what I thought, right? Anyway, I went away, and that evening, I had just moved into this old fucking building, right, where I was renting a room, and the other side of the building was being renovated. And when I got there, it looked like I was there by myself in this scary building. And all I knew was that the landlord, the bastard, told me the guy who had my room had killed himself. That's all I found out. And I was like, oh, fuck, no wonder the rent's cheap. Yeah. Anyway, I lay down that night, and I remember I had an old Kindle, right? And I went online with my Kindle. I think I used my phone, the way you can, what do they call it? I forget what you call it. You can get internet off your phone onto another device. I was doing that. Anyway, I lay down in bed, and for whatever reason, I had that thought again, because I was thinking about the guy that killed himself, right? the potentiality that I was lying on the bed of someone that had just killed themselves, because it was the same bed frame,
Damn,
different
that's
mattress.
scary. That's scary, bro. But yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying that's scary, but yeah, I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah, yeah. And that potentiality that I'm by myself in this dilapidated old building. Like, I was like, what the fuck? You know, it was a bit scary. Anyway, I typed in, this world is hell. This world is hell, right? This world's hell.
Mhm.
And it was really weird. What came up was,
Wait, oh, can you tell me what year it was? Because I remember you telling me it was around like when you started thinking like that, it was around like when you reached the age of 31, 32. So what year was it?
I don't want to give away my age, but it wasn't that long ago. It was, not, I don't
Ah,
want to give too many details,
all
but
right, no, I get you. I get you. It wasn't that long ago. No,
it
that's
wasn't, well, it was look, I am an older millennial. So yeah. Anyway,
all right.
basically, I, yeah, so I typed this in, and then what comes up, Benedictine? The first result, and it was This World Hell, the name of a song by the band Killing Jokes. And this was the same
Oh,
day.
same guy with like with the t-shirt. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, I'm sorry that was a long-winded story, perhaps, but I've had a lot of those experiences in my life. Weird, what people
No,
call
it's a
synchronicity.
like
Synchronicity.
synchronicities happen all the
Yeah,
time, bro.
yeah,
That's what's
yeah, yeah.
crazy about this room. Yeah.
I've had a lot of those very, very fucking strange synchronicities in my life. Okay, and those synchronicities, seeing as we're talking about reality, you know, it was Carl Jung, wasn't it, came up with the term synchronicity. And he used it to describe some kind of experience that seems so unusual. It points to the supernatural. Okay.
Yeah.
And I, particularly during that period, Benedictine, I had a lot of those. A lot of those experiences, man. I mean, very weird. Like, sometimes they were just like, what the fuck was that even for? They're kind of stupid, you know what I mean? I'll give you one more. Then maybe you can give me a few if you've had them, right?
Yeah.
I'll
I
give
was
you.
trying to think of a few because I always have synchronicities, bro. Like to me, this
Wow.
is too normal that I don't even take it seriously anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I had one during that period as well when I was actually it was a little bit before that, probably about 3 months before that, because I was living in the old house before that, and I I was asleep and I had a dream where I was walking along at night in a kind of region of the city that was semi-industrialized. So there was like I was walking along in an industrial estate at night in my dream, okay? And it wasn't heavy industry. It was like just fucking warehouses and shit like that. Anyway, I was walking along on the street in this industrial estate in my dream. And then as I'm walking along, I decided in my dream to turn back and go the way from where I'd come. So not to keep going, but to turn back and go back from where I'd come from, all right? And just as I turned around in my dream, the street lights dimmed to the point of being almost imperceivable. Like they just totally dimmed and it went dark. And I remember thinking in my dream, I got a little shock, obviously, because it was I was in this strange place. But I remember in my dream thinking, oh, that's probably just the council trying to save money because there's no one around here at night. That's why I rationalized it as in my dream. Anyway, I woke up and I got out of bed and I did my daily routine, which was to get out and to have my cup of tea in front of my computer, right? And just quickly look at the news before I had my shower, right? Now, when I did that this day in particular, the first story I see is local authorities save money by dimming streetlights at nighttime.
That's crazy. That's crazy, bro.
That is crazy, bro. And I had a few at that time. I had a lot of dreams like that during that particular period of my life. Another one was I was in bed having this dream, and this woman's name, her name was Ruth, just kept coming into my dream, like Ruth, like that. Yeah. When I woke up, I was expecting a very fucking important letter, right? When I woke up, the early post had delivered it. and it was signed by a lady called Ruth. The Ruth was her name. But by the way, I'd never met this woman before, and I didn't know anybody called Ruth was going to deliver this like decision. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
that's another one I had. You know, by the way, there's quite a few. There's not that many. I say there's quite a few. There's probably less. There's probably about 10 of them I've had in my life. You know what I mean? That were
Mm,
really like that. Really, like, what the fuck was that about? You know what I mean? But I
mm.
want to hear your ones, Benedictine, because you said you've
Yeah,
had a few.
I've had too many, but when you spoke about the lights, it just reminded me because I didn't even think of this until now. So I was at my cousin's like township, right? So we were working, so we're debating about religion, right? So my cousin says, when God created the universe, he said, "Let there be light," and then the light. It goes like in South Africa, like sometimes the lights are off, sometimes they're on. You know, like it's crazy.
Right.
So the lights turned on, and he was so damn happy, bro. It was like, you see now, he was so damn proud, and it made me laugh. But I felt like it was such a weird synchronicity because now it kind of made him feel like he was right, you know. But some of the craziest synchronicities that I've had, um, I remember the other day, when was it actually? Because I'm trying to remember. Okay, it was this year actually. So I meet this guy, right? I was in Joburg, so I meet this guy. He says he knows me. It's like, what do you mean you know me? He's like, no, bro, I know you. I was like, no, you don't know me, bro. It's like, no, 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 I know you. I was like, no, you don't know me. And then the conversation ended like that because I thought he was trying to rob me, right? So we didn't continue to talk. And then a month later, I'm here in Soweto. So I met another guy. It's not the same guy, right? So that guy says, "Bro, I know you," and I'm like, "What do you mean you know me?" And then he says, "We've met in town." It's not the same guy. You understand? Like, it's not the same guy. So he
Uh
says,
huh. Uh
"We
huh.
met in town in Johannesburg," and I say that I know you, but you didn't believe me. I'm like, "No, it's not, dude. Like, no, 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 no. There's no way it's you." I was like, "Okay, how do you know me then?" And I was like, "Just trust me. I know you." It was like, "No, what do you mean you know me?" Like, and it kind of scared me because he repeated the same words that the guy said. The guy said he knows me, and it's not the same guy. Like, I could tell that it's not the same guy. You know what I'm saying? But I keep on having secret. The problem with me, and this is what I want to do. I wanna I have to like write everything down. Like, I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
like get a,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so that I can write every, so that I don't forget. So that
Hmm.
if I want to talk about synchronicities, I can just open the page and be like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is all my synchronicities, but I have those all the time, bro. It's
Right.
just that I
Right.
can't make. Okay, another synchronicity that I had that I thought was strange is that my ex-girlfriend that I dated from 2015 until 2018, right? Like that breakup kind of like woke me up to reality actually. So we started dating on the 13th of March 2015, right? So we dated for 3 years. So when we broke up, it was the 13th of March 2018.
Oh. Oh.
But
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know that. She knew because women always gonna know, right? So she kind of realized that the day after, and then after some few days, she told me that, "Do you know that we broke up on our anniversary?" I was like, "What?" And then when I thought about it, I realized that, damn, it was our anniversary. So 365 a day, like, I mean 365 days a year, and we broke up on our anniversary. I thought that was strange, you know what I mean? So I keep on having synchronicities that I just feel like, when you experience something that you feel like is too convenient to happen, you're like, if it's random,
Strange.
it
Yeah.
can't happen. You know what I mean? So I've
Hmm.
had synchronicities, but I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But
Okay. No
like,
problem.
there are too damn many.
The thing is, the thing about synchronicities, Benedictine, is sometimes I find they're so peculiar, and they do sometimes have very personal they resonate with you personally to the degree that
Mm,
you couldn't quite communicate to somebody because they wouldn't understand what the hell you're talking about, because you're looking through it from the lens of your experience, okay? And it
Yeah,
might be
exactly.
something that is pertinent to you, or it's something that is remarkable to you, but to somebody else, it's pointless. It's what
Yeah,
the
it
hell is that?
might be point. Yeah, exactly.
But it
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
seems like an intense phenomenon for the one
Mm.
experiencing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you ask yourself, what are the chances that this will happen? Like,
Mm,
because you're the one who knows your own experiences. So you're like,
mm,
that's weird. So what is this trying to tell me? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this happening because we are, is it a glitch, or it's happening because there's a message behind it? Like,
mm.
it makes yourself ask yourself those kind of questions. Like,
Have you
because
ever have you ever prayed and had it answered, like
a
something
prayer
came
that
through?
was answered.
Like
Yeah,
I
I've
have.
had
I prayed for money once. Like I needed a certain amount,
and then
and
you got it.
literally it appeared in the gutter just after I prayed. It appeared in the gutter. I looked to the left, and it was in the gutter as I walked along the street. I mean,
How would you explain that?
this is it, brother. I mean, I'll tell you the truth, right?
Mm,
I was out of university, and I was in America for a bit, and then I came back to the UK, and then I was doing a shitty job to fucking make ends meet, basically charity fundraising.
mm,
I hate, like, by the way, I feel sorry for people who have to do that job, but I did do it for a little bit. Anyway, I um, I wasn't paid. Okay, my
mm,
money didn't go in, and it was a bank holiday weekend. Now I remember it because it was the weekend of what we have is Notting Hill Carnival, which is the biggest street festival in Europe. Okay,
mm,
and basically it was that weekend, and the money was meant to come in on the Friday, but it didn't come in. My wages never came in, and I paid my rent because I had to pay my friend rent on the Friday, right? But I paid my rent, and
mm,
basically, I woke up on the Saturday, and honestly, all I had was 50p. That's all I had,
mm.
right? Yeah, and I remember waking up and thinking, "What the fuck
But
am I gonna
what's
do?"
that in dollars?
50p is like, listen, you'll understand in a minute. I, I woke up and I remember, oh fuck, I only have 50p. What the fuck am I gonna do? And then I'm gonna have to survive. It's bank holiday weekend, so that means the banks aren't open on Monday. Okay.
Mm,
So I might not get any money till Tuesday. What the fuck am I gonna do? But I also have to go to work on the Monday. So I
mm,
need to get some money to fucking travel, all this shit. You know what I mean? So what am I gonna do? How am I gonna survive? I need some food, all this shit. Anyway, I wasn't as frugal in those days. Okay. I'll be honest, I wasn't as used to living frugally, living like, I was used to, like, I had a job previously after university where I was getting well paid, and I was used to eating wherever the fuck I wanted, whenever I want. You know what I mean? So I wasn't used
mm,
to like living on a shoestring. But anyway, I got that 50p and I left the house and I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go to the corner shop and buy a can of Diet Coke. That was, and a can of Diet Coke cost 50p, 50p in those days, right?
mm,
So that's all I could afford was that can of Diet Coke. And I got the Diet Coke and I walked back to my gaff, right? And as I was
mm,
walking along, it was a Saturday, as I said, Saturday morning. I
mm,
was thinking, I'm in deep shit here because I need to eat. I didn't have any reserves on my belly in those days. Okay. I was a slim Jim, but I was like, how the fuck am I going to survive? What the fuck am I going to do? 2, possibly 3 days. And then I thought, you know what? If I could get just 20 quid, 20 pounds, right? I could go
mm,
to Tesco and I could get like reduced items because every day they give you reduced items in the shelf, shit that's going off that day. And you could buy a shitload of food, the reduced items. And then I'd have enough food for a few days and I'd have some money for my Oyster card, which is the travel card in London, to go to my work on the Monday and then tell them and then get my money on the Tuesday. You understand? So I was
mm,
thinking, yeah, all I need is 20 quid. That's all I need. That will get me by.
mm,
And I decided to pray. I said, dear God, please help me. I need to find some money. And I made the sign of the cross. I said, amen. And then I did that really shyly, by the way, because I didn't want anyone to see me. But luckily, it wasn't a very busy street. Do you understand? Lots of
mm,
cars, lots of houses, but there wasn't anyone on the pavement.
mm,
And just as I said, amen, I looked to my left, and there in the gutter was two 10-pound notes. And I remember it because it was a really fucking hot day that year. And the sun was
mm,
shining on it, right? And I remember
mm,
being blown away, like, how the fuck did that happen? You know what I mean? I picked up, put in
mm.
my pocket. But like Benedictine, that
That
happened, right?
doesn't sound like a coincidence. So, like, I would like to hear what your explanation of it is. Like,
Yes,
what
you
do you
see,
think really
this
happened?
is it, brother. This is it. My explanation of that is I've told some people, they say, oh, it's just a coincidence. Yeah. A lot of people have said that. Okay. And people,
I'm not a believer in those kind of things, but it's not
I
a
know,
coincidence.
I know. But uh, uh, other people who have a Christian background, right, who have said it too, have said, yeah, it's God, right? Now,
Mm,
part of me understands, like, if that was the good God or a good part of God, if there is a God,
mm,
I was going through it then, but I also wasn't greedy. You know what I mean? I didn't ask for like £1 million. I only asked just to get by. You know what I mean? I wasn't, and also I must add, during that particular phase, I
mm,
had given up drinking. All right, because I used to drink a lot when I was in uni and that I partied too much. You know what I mean? I'd given up
mm,
smoking, and
mm,
I lay off the women for a bit as well. And I was just reading books and like I was really like living a clean lifestyle for a few months. You know what I mean?
mm,
Um, so in some ways, I was doing a kind of a spiritual detox, but without knowing it. You know what I mean? It was I'd chosen to do those things off my own accord, without
mm,
anybody else telling me to. Do you know what I mean? I chose to like cut back my just to give up drinking, to give up smoking, and to give up the drugs, and to give up one night stands, all that shit. You know,
mm,
um, and to just to retreat from the madness. You know what I mean? The partying, all that. You know. So there was that going on at the same time, and so yeah, it could have been some weird something outside of me causing that to happen.
mm,
Now I will say one thing: it hasn't made me into a monk. Okay, and people say why,
mm,
and I'm sorry to say, there's like I can only be honest. I still think there's too much suffering in this world, and I,
mm,
I still don't know what's going on.
mm,
Um, Now, I do know one thing. If I was very, very rich and I was very, very affluent, blah, 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 maybe I would have been cushioned from it,
mm,
more so. And I might not have seen what I saw.
mm,
But, you know, none of these things I've experienced have made me into a pious man. I'm sorry to say that.
mm.
Or I don't know what your view on that is, but,
No,
you know,
you know what I think? I think each and every human being has had like at least one supernatural experience. Or let me not even say supernatural, but then an experience that they kind of feel like that is too convenient to just happen randomly, right? So they might have said a prayer and then something, then that prayer got answered instantly, just like you have.
mm,
But the problem is there are a lot of people that we're seeing that are suffering a lot. So even if my prayer get answered, I'm gonna be thinking about other people. I'm like, damn, that person is literally going through hell. Like maybe I was praying for a car, right? And then I got a car. But then what about a person who's homeless and who's praying to have a house? Do you get what I'm
mm,
saying? It's like
mm,
there's a difference between us. Like there's a person who's actually desperate, right? I'm not desperate. I don't
right.
really need a car. I'm still
Mm,
good. So sometimes you think about those kind of things. So I think we do have those moments in our lives that are magical. And I don't know how to interpret these moments, but I don't know if they really point to a divine being that is like controlling
mm.
everything.
Mm, mm. Some people believe other things people suggest is the power of manifestation. Like you can literally create
Yeah, yeah.
reality with your thoughts.
Mhm,
I mean, I find that quite a narcissistic view, in my view, because
mhm,
if that is the case, why don't they try to create a better world? Why do they just focus on making £1 million or something? You know that there are people out there that they say
mhm.
they manifest money, they manifest this. Well, why aren't they manifesting a cure for fucking childhood cancer? You know?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It just seems like a load of
Exactly.
bollocks to me.
If it's that
Morally.
easy. Yeah, exactly. And again, I've seen many adverts. When you're watching like a video on YouTube about spirituality, and then this guy comes up and he's talking about, yo, I used to suffer a lot in life, and then until I discovered the power of manifestation, you just need to join my classes. This is how much you gotta pay, and I'm gonna teach you how to manifest. And you're like, what the hell? Why do you need people to pay you to teach them how to manifest if you can manifest? Teach us that for free because you can make this money. You don't you don't need to make money off other people to teach them how to manifest. It's the entertain type of thing. So so it does tell you that these people are trying to scam other people. I do believe that manifestation is real, but not the way that they say it is. Like it's kind of real to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something magical. Is that if I truly believe that I can do something, I will have the motivation to try and do it, compared to a person who feels like they can't do it.
Right.
So the ideas are gonna come into my mind and I'm gonna take these ideas seriously compared to a person who doesn't feel like they can do it. So that is manifestation. It's not like something magical. Because if manifestation was real, the people who will make it the most in life are people who pray a lot. Because those are people who will be manifesting things. Like they'll just be saying that they have these things because they believe they have faith and all of that. But it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't
You
work
can
that
have
way.
a
You're
person
absolutely
who
right.
believes. Yeah, you can meet a person who doesn't believe they can make it in life, bro. I know people who didn't have a lot of faith that they can do something and they did it.
Mm,
So it
mm.
doesn't work. It's just people
No.
trying to make money off other people, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't work. You see, but then sometimes, look, I'm agnostic. I don't know what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that word actually. Like it's the most honest thing you can say.
Mm. But I can appreciate that, you know, if this is a place that's a test, then it
Mhm,
would appear that there is no God. Because if we thought there was a God, then we wouldn't feel like we wouldn't be tested. We would be like bowing down to God. If we knew in our heart there was a God or a power,
mhm,
you know, well,
mhm,
then it wouldn't really be a test because you'd be kowtowing because you knew in your heart and mind that there was a God. Do you understand? But if you're
mhm,
left not thinking, wondering, like either if you're left either not believing in God or, as I say, being agnostic about it, then,
mhm,
in that sense, it really is a test because it's a test of how do you act when you don't think there's a God, morally speaking, because I suppose in many ways that is the true test. Like that is the real test of somebody's morality,
mhm,
is how do they act if they know there's no cosmic significance to what, if they think there's no cosmic significance to what they're doing. Okay.
mhm,
Do they act good or bad? Because if they act good, you can say, wow, that's great because they know there's no eternal consequence to their actions, but they still want to do good. But, you know, to me, that is a better test of a person than saying, if I'm just saying, if I was God, I can see why God would lay it out that way. Do you understand?
mhm. But
Do you,
it's still complicated. You know
it
what
is
makes
still
it
complicated.
complicated? And I heard you guys talking about it last night because I think morality is subjective. Let's think about
Yes.
Thanos for a second, right? Thanos thought what he was doing was right? But there were a lot of people who
Who's
felt
this?
that what
Sorry,
he was
sorry. Say that again.
Thanos, if you watch the
Oh,
Avenger
Thanos.
movies,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He felt that was doing was right, and you could see things from his perspective, and you're like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I do kind of agree. But then there were a lot of people who didn't agree, and there are a lot of people who would like that you can communicate it with, and they will tell you that no, I feel like Thanos was wrong. So that's still a problem. Like if this is a test of morality, because morality, like what is morality? Like how do we know that someone is actually right? You get what I'm saying? It kind of because I
Well,
kind of feel like
I personally view morality as just like, like Nietzsche said, like it's an aesthetic. It's just, I personally view it as just something. I personally, first of all, and I think you're the same. I don't believe in free will. Okay, I
yeah, I
think we
don't.
live. I think we live in a deterministic universe. I think we live in a universe where everything is just happening because of prior effects
Mm-mm,
causing it to be, and it's just a very strange situation that we're aware of. I find it very spooky, Benedictine, that we're aware of it happening because, if I'm
mm,
honest, I can
mm,
appreciate that we didn't actually need to be conscious. This could have all just been
mm.
happening mechanistically without our conscious awareness
It
of
could
us
have.
being aware. Do you know what I mean? It could all just been
Mm,
happening by chemical processes, visual stimulation causing fucking neurons to spark, and we didn't actually have to be aware of it. You know what I mean? Like to the degree that we are. It's real, and sometimes, I'll be honest, that creeps me out. The level of awareness we have of it, even as it is, as I said, deterministic. It's just so weird that came into being, that level of determinism. But then you can also see the deterministic argument for it. It was because, like, this level of awareness that we have, evolutionarily speaking, is what has driven us from being like, these monkeys that came down from the trees, right, to being a so-called civilized society, because we've never been comfortable with our awareness. It's always made us feel ill at ease. It's always made us feel like creeped out by existence, sad, and all this, and therefore we've always been trying to like fix ourselves, fix society, and that is in many ways the reason for our civilization. It's the reason for why we progressed. Yes, that is the reason why we have got to where we are today. It's because we've been trying to fix our torment, or the torment of being so aware. But yeah, I digress and I lose myself. Remind me, Benedictine, what were we saying just before?
We were talking about morality and.
Oh yes. I think it's just an aesthetic. I think we don't have free will, and I think that what we tend to do is we tend to patch over what has happened after the fact, and call it morality. Okay, as in, like, there is a certain way that humans act for the most, and it is like it's like majority rules. So what does the majority see as, what is the norm? What is the group norm? Well, that is the morality. That is the morality.
It depends, and it also depends on when you were born, because there was something that was considered right in the last century that's not being considered right now, and there will be some things that will be considered right, and sometimes it's not even about like improvement, because you think it's about improvement. It's just about what the majority of people have been taught, or how they've been programmed to think, really. So we're just going back, and like there's no real evolution here. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are things that we think are right now that are actually wrong, and the people in the past, they figured it out that they were actually wrong. But I don't mean it like morality. What I even mean is that there are things that the people think are right now, but that have like a negative effect on society. And there were things that in the past that people thought were like you find that the same thing, people have figured it out.
I agree with you. It's
so if
it
we want to
moves.
consider something to be morally right, we'll say that it's something that doesn't have a negative like impact on
connotation.
society. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's morality, and I've often said the same thing about mental health as well. I mean, what we say is sane or insane shifts as well. I have a very dark view of human nature itself. I mean, I'm writing about this at the moment, Benedict, and I told you that, and I will publish something soon. And when I do, I hope that you'll take a look at it. If anybody is interested, I do a blog on Medium. Just look up Finding Gnosis. Now, what was I saying? I was thinking about I've written about this before, and that is human nature itself is very dark. Just we have the way we choose partners, friends. And it is, look, we got to be like that in terms of selfish. We got to be selfish, but if you actually analyze what we're doing, it's quite dark. It's quite dark. It's quite dark how we choose our friends. Okay, and there's a lot of using going on, whether people see it or not. And a lot of sex, unfortunately, whether people like to admit it or not, is using someone else as a masturbation tool. Okay, there's a lot of dark shit going on in humanity now. Also, it's a bit like the morality. What is deemed sane or insane shifts as well. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, Benedictine. Indeed, in some countries around the world, it still is the case that, for example, homosexuality or bisexuality or lesbianism or whatever sexual orientation someone is that is not straight was deemed a mental illness. You know,
Yeah. There's still countries like that. Yes.
yeah, of course. And there's still even in even in UK, for example, there would still be people who think like that as well.
Mm.
But I'm just saying, again, women. In the past, if a woman complained too much, she was viewed as hysterical, and you know,
Mm.
oh my goodness me, she's insane. She's complaining. And brother
Mm.
I even read, this is terrible. Now this is dark. There was even some arsehole in the Caribbean or America or somewhere when they had slavery, who
Mm.
said that any black slave who tries to escape is suffering from mental illness.
this
That was
this
a
guy.
legitimate view that one like psychologist or psychiatrist had at the time.
Yeah.
He tried to make. I don't know if he succeeded, but he definitely tried. Or
Mm.
he wrote a paper or a book or something on that, saying anybody who tries to escape from slavery is suffering from mental illness.
Damn.
So this
That's
is
crazy.
and I've looked a lot. I've looked a lot at the different mental health categorizations, right? Because I'm
Mm.
someone who has a keen interest in that, in terms of, like, I look at society and I think we are being led a lot of the time, not all the time,
Mm.
but a lot of the time, by very dark psychologies that
Mm.
are extremely selfish, that are extremely self-serving, that are not in the people's interest. There's very few men of the people who
But
are
I don't even think
leading countries, or corporations or groups in general.
it's their fault. I think it has to do with how they've been trained, right? If they
No,
tell
no.
you that if a
Again,
person behaves like
I
this,
don't believe in the blame game, because I don't believe in free will, Benedictine. But I'm just
mm,
saying they have dark psychologies. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm saying
mm,
they're
mm.
psychopaths, narcissists. I mean, we're all on the spectrum for these things, but these people,
Yeah,
I will say, we're being held back a lot in this world
yeah, we
by
are.
dark psychologies. I will say that much.
Mm,
And
mm,
for example, I spoke to you last night about this, and that was, around the world at the moment, we've got a lot of shit going on with people complaining about migrants coming into their
mm,
country, okay, by boat, or climbing over fences or whatever to get in to the first world. And on first hearing it, you could say, well, what are all these young men, military age men, coming here for? Why can't they just stay at fucking home? Why are
mm,
they coming here? I mean, that
mm.
why don't they just stay at home and build up their own countries? That is, a superficial first glance at the situation. I can see why people
Yeah.
have that opinion. Um,
Mm,
but as usual, matters are far deeper than first
yeah.
analysis allows for. Um,
Mm,
and the point is, whether we like it or not, whether the nationalists like it, whether the racists like it, whether the fucking fascists, the populist fucking assholes like, whether any of the the conservative right wing like it, we live
mm.
in a fucking global village now. We live in a world where if you sneeze in fucking Beijing, you catch a cold in fucking New York. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what happened with COVID. Um,
Mm,
Now, the point I'm trying to make is, we as a society are taught to blame the base of society. We're taught to blame the people below us. The
yeah,
people.
yeah.
I'm talking about in the economic chain, not that they're subhuman. I'm talking about the people with less money. Okay, we're
Mm,
taught to blame those. We're taught to blame people who are desperate. Okay, but
yeah.
the point is, we have more than enough to go round in this world. In fact, not only do we have enough to go round in this world money wise, we
Mm,
have stockpiles of food, all right,
mm,
where they artificially stimulate the food markets, because they don't want to give out the actual food amount that is there, because it will lower prices. So what they do is they hold back what is there in stockpiles, so that
mm,
the markets are artificially inflated. You can look that up. That happens all the time. Um,
mm,
it's the same with oil. They hold
mm.
back, and this is what they do. It's basic supply and demand. If you hold back,
Yeah,
the price goes up. All right.
yeah, yeah.
Now, the point I'm trying to make is, we as a world are intricately connected. Okay, whether people
Yeah.
like it or not, we are one fucking people. Okay,
Mm,
and we have these arbitrary lineations around the globe. I mean, these countries are just figments of our imagination. Okay, what the fuck? I mean, South Africa didn't exist until when, Benedictine? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The UK used to be different warring fractions that were unified. Okay, and still we have Scotland and Northern Ireland and even Wales sometimes wanting to creep away from the Union. And I've even heard talks at London. Some people in London wanted London to be a separate entity because of the
so that's
the
still
fact.
happening.
Oh yeah. What
Yeah.
I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is countries are another arbitrary thing, and national boundaries are another arbitrary thing. Like
Yeah.
much in the human species, these arbitrary lines, these directives from other people that are taught to us as children, okay, as adults even, as being things that matter, are just arbitrary lineations that are just someone's opinion, you know.
Yeah.
And the point is, I'm a great believer that we have to question a lot of things, and one of the things we have to question is why is the media pushing stories, okay? Because listen, Benedictine, I'm going all over the place here. Sorry, it's late here,
No,
by the way.
there's a lot that you remember last night when we were
Yeah,
talking, you were talking about this,
but
and I said this is specifically what I want us
okay.
to talk about. So yeah.
So basically, the point I'm trying to make is there's more than enough in this world in terms of wealth. There's more than enough in this world in terms of resources, food wise, etc. What? But the problem is the rich do not give back. Okay, it is as
Yeah.
simple as that. The 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 labor they basically, the rich siphon off the wealth from the labor of those below them. Okay, and they take the resources from all the countries around the world. By the way, uh, through some fucking form of corruption or other. Okay, and basically it goes into some offshore fund, some tax avoidance scheme, okay, which is global as well. Okay, these fuckers are, I mean, they have companies here, there, everywhere. Okay, even though they like to say they're nationalists or whatever, but they have economic interests all over the fucking world, and they're shifting money here, there, everywhere to avoid paying tax, to avoid helping those who actually put them where they are in the fucking hierarchy. Yeah. And that's one of the crying shames in this world, that people fall for it time and time again. I mean, at the moment, we got people cribbing and moaning about these migrants. By the way, there are justified, worries, because some of them could be criminals, coming in here. We do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to have some
Sometimes,
kind of vetting system.
yeah.
We have to have some kind of vetting system, or, a system that watches what people do in terms of when they arrive here. We have to figure out who the fuck is this dude. You know what I mean? We have to have that shit. But it seems that we always lose track of what is really going on. And what is really going on is we are always being fucked up the arse by some elite power, all right, that is out for themselves. Who the fuck needs to be a billionaire?
It never makes sense, bro.
Who the
And we
fuck needs
allow
to
that.
who the
That's
fuck needs to
even
have
crazy.
tens of billions, let alone hundreds of billions? Who the fuck needs that amount of wealth? And why? Why do they deserve it more than somebody else? When you look at their character, okay,
And you think it's because of hard work, and in reality it's not. And that's what's crazy, bro. Like, I ask myself, because I've been talking about this, that I don't know if we have that much power, because I know people who work way harder than everyone else and who never get to have these millions, right? So I don't know how these people get to, like that level of wealth. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's luck, or if it
nah,
was if it's
there's
it
no
was
such thing as a good
predicted.
billionaire, much like
Mm-mm.
there's no such thing as a good person, I suppose, in many ways, because we are all flawed. But, to get to that level, you don't have to scratch far to see some corruption.
But it even goes beyond corruption. I think I don't know, man. I think there might be something out of this, like something like that's powerful that's actually making that happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it goes beyond our understanding. Like it's not even as simple as we think. We'll be like, okay, it's just corruption. Because there are many people who try to be corrupt and who never
No,
get
it's
to
not.
that
It's not
level.
just corruption. And again, this is something I'm writing about at the moment. It's the darker side of human nature. Okay, and
Mm,
it's the fact that we live in a system that allows the darkness to flourish. Okay,
mm.
and that's the problem.
But don't you think it's deeper than that?
Um, I don't know. I can see a anthropological kind of reason for it, and I don't know whether it's deeper societally than that. But I mean, to me, that it's a totally it's different to existence itself as a phenomenon. Okay, but it is yet another example of how existence seems to turn out. Um,
Mm,
Injustice, how this how existence seems to churn out horror, tragedy, unfairness,
mm,
and entraps people in situations that are not their fault. That makes people pay for sins they didn't seem to commit.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm.
Uh, it just seems to be the manifestation of a cruel mother nature that doesn't care about us.
So someone last night said you sound like David. I think that made me laugh because you kind of sounded like him. But David Icke does say something like he thinks that there are people who come from certain bloodlines and who are meant to be leaders in this realm, and he feels like no matter what, they will become leaders, they will become powerful. It's predetermination, like that's what he believes. So don't you think that there might be a connection? Like you find that in every culture there will like in every like society, in every civilization, there will be people who become powerful because they were meant to be by this dark force that is controlling reality itself.
Mm.
Like it goes beyond politics, it goes
Well,
beyond
look,
good and bad and all of that.
Benedictine, I believe that we all have an interest in guarding ourselves. Now, humans, for a great part, are anxious beings. We're afraid. We're afraid of dying. Okay, we're afraid of disease. We're afraid of
Mm,
other people and what they might do to us. We're afraid
mm,
of damage to our reputation. We're afraid of a lot of things. We're afraid of
mm,
losing all our money, so we become destitute and hungry or whatever. We're
mm.
afraid of losing our loved ones. So we're actually very vulnerable beings, and
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think the rich are any more different. Um, and there's a lot of factors going into why I believe the super rich elites are the way they are. Now, I will say one thing I read a little while ago that made me think, and that was I read about a psychotherapist that dealt specifically with extremely rich clients. Okay,
Mm,
now he was actually giving psychotherapy sessions to billionaires, okay, and their
mm,
families. And what he said, obviously, he didn't disclose any private details, but what he did say was he was stunned and amazed at how unhappy they were. Okay,
mm,
and that made me think, and I said, well, how can these billionaires be so unhappy? And Benedictine, some of the nicest people I've met are the people who haven't got a pot to piss in. You know,
mm, mm,
if you've got nothing to lose, um, you know, what keeps them warm sometimes is the geniality and the camaraderie, and all that. And people are in it together. But when you get to the top of the pyramid, as it were,
mm,
first of all, we've already said that a lot of these people display dark traits. So, for example, you could be growing up in a household where your dad's a billionaire, but he's a fucking psychopath. Okay,
yeah,
your mum's a fucking narcissist. Got narcissistic personality disorder, and it basically wasn't there for you emotionally. All these, they suffer too. As
yeah,
children as well,
yeah.
and
Mm,
they have expectations foisted on them. You know,
mm,
they can't go out and walk down the street and get pissed and fucking, chat to some fucking MILF down the local boozer. They have to keep up their family name, their reputation. Yeah. They have to act in a certain way, or else there's a fucking scandal, you know.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and those
yeah.
scandals of they are very nervous. They're very very nervous about
And
scandals,
I'm sure there
reputation.
are real consequences. Like even like it's not even just about reputation. I think if they do something like that, there's real
Oh
consequences.
yeah,
I'm
because
told that.
everybody
Yeah.
has the knives out for each other. I mean, it's the human.
Mm,
It's somebody wants to get to their seat at the table. You know what I mean?
mm,
And
mm.
they'll do anything to basically defame that person, slander that
Yeah,
person,
exactly. Mm,
or put them in a tight spot. Now, but the point I want to make was there's a lot of them depressed, and that's one of
mm,
the reasons because they're very anxious. All right, and they're walking around nervously, like because they've got to put up a persona.
mm.
And sometimes depending where they are, they can be less free than
Then
say the other people, because for example, if they're gay or lesbian or whatever, they can't do that in their society, perhaps, depending where they are. You know what I mean? Because if say if you're a
mm,
conservative fucking American
mm,
and you're a billionaire, but you come from that side of the spectrum,
mm.
all your supporters are like that. You can't be what they say is wrong in God's eyes. You know what I mean? Etc.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
an example. And same if you're an Arab, a fucking millionaire Arab who was from a Muslim background. You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Mm,
Now, the other side to this is billionaires, I believe, can be extremely lonely because unlike, you know, salt of the earth types,
mm,
uh, if you haven't got much, you don't have to worry that the person who's talking to you isn't talking to you for ulterior motives.
exactly.
Because in the past when I've spoken to someone, I've known they're basically speaking to me to see what I'm about, whether they like me or not. It's not about what they can get out of me. Do you understand?
Mm, mm,
Um, Now that can happen at different points in your life for different reasons. Now it might be different. As an aside, guys, it might be different if they fucking find you sexually attractive or something, right? So if you're a nice looking bird or whatever, or you're a Chad or whatever, then it may be different. They want a piece of you genetically, but
mm,
that's an aside. Um, the point is, some of these billionaires, right? They're lonely because they're surrounded by people who a are kissing their ass in a kind
mm,
of phony manner just because they want a piece of the pie too. These people want a piece of the pie. So they're thinking, look,
mm,
if I'm nice to this person, like, and I'm a sycophant
mm,
and I kiss their ass, I might get, I might get a big payday or whatever. You know what I mean? And
mm,
secondly, a lot of people around them might also be afraid to
mm,
speak their mind to that person. Do you understand? So that person extremely rich and powerful, but other people are afraid to speak their mind to that person. So because they think, well, there might be repercussions if I say, hey, the way you might tell your friend they're being an asshole, right? Sometimes, yeah.
mm,
It might be the case that these people are surrounded by people that can't really do that, or feel like they can't do that, because that person is more powerful than them, and it might have repercussions, and it might cause a tire. And by the way, this is justified because it may well cause a tirade of problems for that person who says the truth to that person, because
mm,
that person may take it as a personal affront and go out of their way to damage that person. You know what I mean? As I said, there's
mm,
a lot of narcissists that walk in these circles, and narcissists are particularly renowned for being really nasty to anybody who they perceive as personally slighting them, even if it's not even a bad um, uh, slight, or even if it's something that is said one to one. And say if I said something about you, hey Benedictine, I really think you should lay off doing this or that, but I just said it to you privately. That I'd be saying that as a kind of friendly kind of bit of advice, to try and help you. But some
mm,
people in these circles, again, through no fault of their own, it's their psychology. They feel they're above even advice from others, and
yeah, they feel offended. They feel offended because I'm thinking, because when you're talking about it, I'm thinking of someone like Conor McGregor, right? If you know Conor McGregor, he's an MMA fighter. He's
yeah,
very
but
for,
he came from nothing to big money. Yeah,
but
yeah.
but now he's, I don't know. Now he seems like he's someone that can't really take advice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm just judging him, but I think once you reach that level, if someone who is below you financially uh try to give you an advice, you kind of feel like they're disrespecting you, right?
Right.
But there's another thing that you've said that I feel like is very, very important. When you said when you meet people and you don't know if they're genuine or not. I mean, if you're a billionaire, you could never know if, for example, you meet a woman, if she actually is genuinely interested in you, or even if it's not just women, like just people in general. Like, how do you? It's even it's actually it's kind of like impossible. Like when you think about it deeply, it's kind of like impossible because most of the people that you are going to meet are the people who are power hungry as well. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So
Mhm.
obviously you're gonna be meeting those who had to like scam their way to the top. So you can't really have genuine friendships and genuine relationships. So that's what's gonna automatically make you lonely. And besides, man, you've reached the top. It's like there's nowhere else to go. I remember there's this song that
Mm.
Eminem said. It's called, I mean, Eminem made. It's called Higher. It was like, what else am I supposed to do? Like I've literally reached the top. So it's kind of like that. Justin Bieber made a song where he was talking about I'm so lonely, because I've have it all and all of that, but I have no one to call.
Well,
And you're
you
like,
see, I get what you're saying, but them guys, have they really got it all? Because all they did was sing, like they were entertainers, really. And did they get it all in terms of did they read and did they study? Did they think about what was going on? I don't. I'm sorry to say, I don't think they did.
they
They just
haven't.
they
Yeah.
just partied.
Yeah. When it
They had
comes
it
to that,
all.
I know they
Yeah.
haven't. Yeah.
Mm. So I think that's what they're lacking. They were, and again, it's not their fault, but
Mm,
they were they were foisted into this situation where they became entertainers, right, and had managers who were making money as well off them. Fair enough, the managers might not have been making as much money as them. Maybe the managers were making 10% of what they earned, but again,
mm.
that manager is pushing them because he wants that 10%. Basically, they were being pimped out, whether they like it or not. Now,
Yeah, 100%.
and the man in the office was saying, "Yeah, you got to do more tours, you got to make more music." And again, these people don't get a chance to sit down and think about life. They're entertaining, they're partying, and they're swamped with adulation. Can you imagine
Mm.
walking around, get all the women they had jumping at them, all the parties they were going to? It was just, and the thing is, it's empty. You know,
It is empty because there are
empty.
people who say, like, you know what, like if someone is an incel, right? They'll look at it and be like, "That's great, right? I wish I was Justin Bieber. I wish I was Chris Brown." And you're
Yeah.
like, "No, bro. Like it's still empty. Like it's
Hmm.
they even like you might find that you have actually evolved more than them because, like, okay, in this room, yes, they've gotten a lot of things because of their talent and people were using them to make money off them, but what do they actually like? If you have a genuine conversation with them, would you feel like they've actually grown? Would you feel like you're talking to a matured person?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
also, are
mm,
they happy because they are also used to that thing? They also used to what they have, right? Because there's the thing, like once, like it's like people underestimate how your mind can easily acclimate to things, like how you easily get used to things, right? So
mhm.
okay, you have all these women and all of that, but you're so used to it that it doesn't mean anything to you, right? So maybe
Mhm.
to an insult it will mean a lot, but to you it doesn't because you've had that all your life.
Right,
You
right,
know what I'm saying?
exactly. I agree with what you're saying because we kind of again, it's to do with that evolutionary thing that no matter where you are, what you're doing, you have
Mm,
this kind of weird itch inside you that you want more. You know, you want more.
mm,
Um, you want something else, and you're worried because the animal in you is worried because you know that this may not last. You know,
mm,
winter might come. You know, and the fruits
mm,
will might rot. Another animal might come and steal what you have. So whatever you have isn't guaranteed forever. You
mm, mm,
instinctively know that. Maybe not in words, but your biology knows. Okay, that
mm,
nothing lasts forever. So what you have isn't yours for all eternity. So there is that
mm,
kind of level of base level kind of unease with it. Even if you're having it, you know, you're like, I need more. I need more because I need to guarantee this, you know? I mean, I need to
mm,
keep this. I need to keep this, whatever this
mm,
is, you know?
mm,
Um,
mm,
so they have that going on. No matter what level you're at, you always have that need for something, even
mm,
if you
mm,
appear to have everything.
mm.
And yes, we were talking about celebrities and such. um I was going to say something there, but it's gone, brother, so we'll keep
Yeah,
going.
no, we'll bring it back. But
Mm.
going back to the main topic,
What
right?
is this reality?
What do you think it is? Like if you had a kid and that kid asked you, what is this? What would you say to that kid?
Yeah. I think we are in a bad place. Okay.
Mm,
We're in a, as you like to call it, a hellscape reality.
mm,
There is extreme potential for suffering. Indeed, there is extreme suffering in this world. We're all mortal beings, and a lot of us will die. Maybe most of us will die horribly. The
mm,
aging process is pretty much horrific.
mm,
Psychological trauma is horrific. And
mm,
one of the added tragedies is that there's no free will, and it is a deterministic universe. So nobody
mm,
chooses their abilities or lack of. And
mm,
as I said, it seems to be just pot luck, which
mm,
is tragic in many ways because deserve has nothing to do with it. If you're an arsehole, you could become king of the hill, and if you're a really nice
mm,
person, you might be trod on. But again, let's not. What we won't do, and I know you don't do this either. We won't
mm,
sanctify the lower stratas of society, because there's fuckers
mm,
and cunts in every layer. You know what I mean? So it's
mm.
got nothing, like, just because you're poor doesn't mean you're a good person, and
Yeah,
vice
it's true.
versa. Um, so what would I say? Yeah, I'd say it's a bad place. It's a brutal place.
Mm,
But I would say we all have levels of ability. Okay, and I would
mm,
hope that you know each of us can flourish as much as we can. And that is really, I believe, what we should do as individuals. We should try and flourish to the degree where we do something that matters for us personally. Okay.
mm,
As
mm.
in, like, speak whatever. I believe in express yourself. Expression is very
Yeah.
important.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Um, Now, I believe suffering matters. Now, I used to be antinatalist. So I used to think that you shouldn't bring anybody here.
mm,
Okay. Now I'm not I'm not judgmental of others, because I know nobody chooses what they're doing, as in, like, there's no free will. Okay.
mm,
And
mm,
you either come to that view or you don't. Um, and I also believe one horrific detail
mm,
is that we may well be, as Homo sapiens, we
mm,
may well be life's only hope in the cosmos. Okay. In the
mm,
great expanse of space and time. We, as shit as we may be life's only hope of solving what the fuck is going on here, and trying to
mm,
help those who are suffering here on this planet, right now, today, in the
mm.
future, but also throughout the great expanse of space and time from here onwards. You get
All
what I'm
right.
saying?
I agree
And
with you 100%, but I want us to go back to what you said about, you said you used to be an internatalist. I would like you to tell me what kind of like changed. I want
well,
to like to
it,
elaborate
it
more.
is that view, Benedictine. It's the view that we, if you care about suffering, all right, first of all, if you care about suffering, yeah, you've got to admit, just by Benedictine not having a kid, suffering doesn't stop on this planet. Now, I believe most AN people come to AN because they care about suffering.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
care about, they say, I don't want a kid who's going to suffer, either, like I have, or like, I don't want to suffer. You know what I mean? So they might say, I'm not suffering too badly, but I do, as an intellectual being, see the potential that my child could suffer
Mm,
horrifically. But also, there's guaranteed suffering as well.
mm,
As I said, we're all going to die and age and all these things.
mm,
But you not having a kid, Benedictine, or me, or whatever, isn't really doing anything. Okay, in my
mm,
view, because I looked at this through the lens of resources. Okay,
mm,
and I've realized that you cannot get other people to come on board with AN.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
you can.
it's
They
very difficult.
they either instinctively agree or they don't.
You can, but it's difficult.
It's
Like, because you
listen.
can't talk to
They have
everyone.
there has to look. There has to be a number of things going on with them for them to understand it. Like there has to be like
Mm,
I don't know what the ingredients are, but they have to have certain things in place in their mind for them to understand it. Okay, and a
mm,
lot of people don't. Okay,
mm,
now um, in this world, if you don't have a kid, your resources will be used by somebody
else,
who will
yeah.
have a kid. And it
Mm,
as the truth is, you can't. Nobody can actually say, just like anything, nobody can actually say by not having a kid they have done something definitively good. Okay. Now that might
mm,
listen to me. Let me
all right.
let me say this. You've done. I'm not going to deny it. You've done something definitively good. Okay, for the
Mm,
life that you prevented.
mm,
Okay, so if that child, you've done something definitively good. But
mm,
I'm sorry to say this, you haven't
mm,
necessarily done something definitively good objectively. Okay, now why
mm,
is that? Well, it may well be that what we are actually doing is egotistically attaching a value to our own DNA,
mm,
okay, or our own DNA that comes from us, from our lineage, right,
mm,
over other people's DNA. Do you get what I'm saying? So what I mean is, just because your DNA doesn't continue in some close similarity, okay, as in a child, your child, doesn't
mm.
mean that other DNA will not come into the game and equally suffer, perhaps more so than what your child would have done.
Okay,
Do you
yeah,
understand
yeah.
what I'm saying? And it
No,
may
no,
well be,
I think I might understand you
and it
slowly.
may
Yeah.
well be
Mm,
that those those people will suffer more, or there will be more people born because of your actions. Now, someone's saying, I don't understand antinatalism. Look, to me, antinatalism is the view that it's immoral. It's a view that it's immoral to bring someone here. Okay, you view it as morally bad. And why? Why is that? Why do people view it as morally bad? In my view, it's all based on suffering. So I'm not
mm,
looking at the moral. I'm looking at the actual effect. You care about the morality because you think suffering is important. Okay,
mm,
you think suffering matters, and I'm saying yes, I agree, suffering matters. But I'm
mm,
saying it may be myopic to think you've done anything good. You cannot for sure say you've done anything good
mm,
because you may have opened up a portal for other life to take the place of that which you didn't bring here, and maybe even more so. For example, what you're going to do with the land, okay, the
mm, mm,
space, the capital, all these things. You might say, well, I'm going to give it to a cat charity or a dog charity. Yeah. You
mm,
can't escape humans getting their hands on resources in this world. And what I mean by that is if you give it to like the dog charity or the cat charity, there's humans running that and they're going home and they're using the money that you gave to feed the cats and home the cats to
true.
to raise a family.
Mm.
But yeah, look, I'm not saying we're not in hell. I'm just saying it's worse than what
No,
people
no,
think.
I agree
I'm
with
saying
you, but
I'm
there's
saying
something that I want to say.
it's
I agree
worse
with
than what people think. To say
you.
you're
Okay, I
doing good in look, we're already agreed we're in a hellscape reality. Okay. I'm
mm.
saying if you think you're doing good in any way, you may be mistaken.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wanna talk about, because you said that you feel that humanity is our best chance, right? Because in
That's the paradox, or that's the other side of the coin. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So here's the thing: what if our best chance is in realizing that this was never going to work out anyway? Like, it's that realization itself. So if me as Benedictine, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to bring more kids here because I want them to save humanity, but then that was impossible, because you know that humans always going to disagree, right? Humans are always going to fight. So what if really the final truth is that no, the way that we're built as humans, like naturally, we are flawed. So
Mm,
not just us, but all animals that live in this realm are flawed. So maybe
yes.
the best thing is for us to detach from this and become spiritual beings. And the best way to do that is by not procreating anymore. You know what I mean?
Of course. Look,
So that's
Benedictine,
how I look at it.
look, look, the best thing that we can do is not necessarily the thing that we will do. Okay, that's why I
Mm,
consider it. I consider my view to be pragmatic. You know,
mm, mm,
because I've said that AN may well be a total ideology. There's no way of proving it has any effect outside of people's heads.
mm.
You know, as in a good thing. There's no way of proving objectively it is good for preventing suffering, which I believe the
No,
morality is
you're
based.
actually right.
I believe the morality is based on prevention of suffering. I believe it's all about suffering. Okay, so
Mm. So if I'm just looking at it, like if I say that I'm preventing my bloodline from having this experience, I can't guarantee that I've kind of like solved the problem of suffering.
well, listen,
Well,
Benedictine,
what
listen.
if I was gonna have a kid like me who's going to like kind of like, maybe helps people in some ways, or maybe in ways that are much bigger than I am. You get what I'm saying? You find that you have a kid that's gonna actually make it to the top for real, and actually, do you get what I'm saying? So you can make that argument, yes, but my problem is still is this is the problem. What if, even if the kid was gonna make it to the top, you find that um that kid to actually make it to the top, they would have needed to tell a lot of lies. Like, do you genuinely feel like if someone is preaching this message and saying that, listen, I think really the final truth is that we should not be creating more and more people. Like, there is someone who can be brought here that's actually going to think differently, or maybe even think the same way, but actually make it to the top and then help people. Like, my problem is, what is the final truth as far as this rule is concerned?
Well,
Like,
mm, yes, yes,
is the
yes.
final truth that we must create more people so that they can save everyone else, or we must create less people so that they will actually realize that this was a bad dream all along?
Well,
So
can I
that's
just
that.
say,
Mm,
Benedictine, I think what I believe is right and proper in that we are life's only hope at the moment. Okay, and by that, what I mean is we care about suffering. That's the first premise, right? We both care. Everyone cares about suffering here. All right, and
mm,
we don't want people to suffer in ways they wouldn't want to suffer themselves. Um,
mm,
but if you care about your own lineage, and by extension, you care about the suffering of others, so you want to be AN and preach to them. By the way, AN is the view that nobody should have children. Okay.
mm, mm.
Well. Then you got to ask, what does that achieve? Well, yes, if everybody agreed, we'd stop reproducing on this planet, right? Now, that would be good for Homo sapiens. But if you carry it back to the foundational belief that first caused you to attach yourself to antinatalism, which was that suffering is bad, one should ask, why only human suffering? Okay. Why not suffering of animals? Okay. But also suffering of other potential life out there in the cosmos. Okay. Now, I've heard, and I think people have said to me, but yeah, but you're worried about something you can't do, you can't fix. Okay. Um, that's been
Oh,
that's been said about lots of things before. But I'm just saying, Benedictine, do you see the stakes here? If you're saying humanity should go extinct, you have to appreciate we may be the highest life form in terms of intellect in the universe. Now, I think that's extremely important. That's why we should have kept. We potentially should keep going. By the way, I'm open for to be knocked off my perch in this regard. Maybe I'm wrong, But what I will say is we are fast approaching a new age where AI will be able to do what perhaps we can't do as mere biological beings. Okay, and that is to extend out into the cosmos throughout space and time to help those that are suffering in some way. Okay, and it may be that AI will figure it out. Sorry, guys, we've lost Benedictine. So if you bear with me, guys, we will wait for Benedictine. Perpetual Pleasurist says that I am still a type of antinatalist that. Sorry, Perpetual Pleasure says you are still the type of antinatalist that I am at brother finding gnosis. Well, Perpetual Pleasurist, that's interesting. Okay. We're waiting for Benedictine. You're back,
I still
Benedictine.
here.
Yeah, luckily it stayed on your channel. It stayed going.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
was
yeah.
just
Because
reading
this
some
is
comments
weird.
there. I
This
was
has
just
never
reading.
happened. This has never
Okay.
happened. My network is always good.
So
I
I'll
don't.
try and keep going because it's quite nuanced. It's quite, as I said,
All right.
I'm not the best. I mean, I can be quite entertaining that, but I'm not always the best speaker in terms of explaining myself. So I'm trying my best here. But we are fast approaching the age of AI being able to do things that we can't do. Okay. And it may well be that AI can go out into the cosmos and help those that life that is suffering. Okay. In some way or other that we couldn't do. Okay. Now, in many ways, I believe that is if we had a job, that is our job. Our job is to be the uploader of AI in terms of to create something that in and of itself doesn't feel, okay, but yet somehow or other has the ability to, in a remarkable way, go out into the cosmos through space and time to help those who are suffering in some way or other. Okay. Now, in that instance, Benedictine, it may well be that it may become immoral to bring someone into a world where AI can do what I'm worried about, which is AI will be able to end the suffering. But also, Benedictine, if AI, I'm going to wait for him, guys. I'm going to continue that line of thought, though. If AI is able to end suffering at some point in the future, well, then there wouldn't be any actual worry about bringing someone here or not, because there wouldn't be any suffering. But yeah, I'll wait for Benedictine to come back. He has been attacked. Gnosis is key, says, please stop. Doesn't like what I'm saying. Sorry about that, Gnosis. But maybe we can have a chat sometime if you want. You can come on here. Perpetual Pleasure says correct.
Yeah. I'm back. You know what I did? I connected with my phone because I think my other network is not working. My Wi-Fi is not working. So I have that on my phone. So I've used mobile hotspot. So I think this is gonna work.
Yeah. Perpetual Pleasure said I've been speaking his points as well. So that's great to hear. I mean, I've been writing and saying this for a long time. So I'm glad people are on the same page. And Perpetual Pleasurist is another great channel, guys. If you go and watch his videos, he comes on my channel all the time as well, which I hope Benedictine will do as well. Benedictine, we should do more of these chats, brother. Hopefully.
It still seems to be cutting, so
Oh,
I don't know what the real problem is now.
I can hear you
Because
fine.
I don't expect MTN to not be working right now.
Well, we're being attacked by Archons.
Yeah, we are. I'm telling you, because I'm using it's a different network, right? There's
Right.
Vodacom, there's MTN. So now I'm using MTN. So I don't expect this. It's weird.
Right. But Benedictine, basically what I was saying there was, if the reason you are antinatalist is because you care about suffering and you think it's immoral for people to create someone because they could suffer, yeah, then I understand that. I understand your worry about suffering, but I think it's myopic to think that that does anything objectively for the problem that initially brought you to AM, which is the existence of suffering. Now, by
mm,
the existence of suffering, I particularly mean, I genuinely mean the existence of unwanted suffering for the sufferer.
yeah.
Now, um, so that being said, I don't think AN achieves anything to stop that overall. As I've already explained, your DNA will be replaced by someone else's DNA. And anyway, the other side to this, Benedictine, is whether you
Mm.
like it or not, your DNA is already out there. It's just out there in smaller pieces in other people, you know.
Okay. No, I get
Uh,
that, but
yeah,
here's the
I mean,
thing.
anyway, let me just keep going because I want to get to the point about the AI because I said it when you were off. I
All
think
right.
if we have a job, it probably is to create an AI that can do what we can't, which is to go out into the cosmos and through space and time to basically end suffering in some way, end unwanted suffering for the sufferer. And
Mm,
if we get to that stage, I believe, yes, you could say it would be immoral then because there's something that would be able to do what I'm worried about. Okay, as in
mm.
there's something other than us that could end suffering, something greater than us that could end suffering. But also, at the same time, you could also argue that, um, well, if AI can end suffering, there wouldn't be any problem with creating someone because there wouldn't be any unwanted suffering, you know? So there's that
Mm.
as well. But look, it's a mind fuck. I don't think there's any good answers here, but we
No,
wouldn't be
not
in.
quite. I do think I don't know, but like I like when it comes to like obvious problems that we can solve, I do think that AN does solve these problems. And I'm trying, like, I wanna try to answer that, remembering all the things that you've said, right? Because okay, you're saying that even if I decide that, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna stop my bloodline, someone else is gonna replace it, and also there is my bloodline somewhere else, right? But here's the
It's got
thing.
nothing to do with bloodline. It's got nothing to. It's like the whole premise is it's bad for people to bring people here, but they will anyway. And sorry, go ahead. Here's the thing. Sorry.
So what I'm saying is that antinatalism as a philosophy, it's actually like as a philosophy, whether people are going to change or not, right? Truth will remain true. Do you get what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of things that you can say that are true, but that people want to agree with. Like, for an example, you could tell people that their religion is wrong if, well, it is actually wrong because there have to be religions that are wrong, even if some religions are right. Who knows? So it doesn't mean that you are wrong if you're saying that. It could mean that maybe people ain't gonna change. So the point that I'm trying to make is that antinatalism is true no matter what, whether it's gonna accomplish what it's trying to accomplish or not, it's still true. So isn't it better to stick with what you feel is true, even if you don't think it's going to accomplish
Well,
anything because it's still true?
look, it can be true for an individual. They can say, look, I think they can make their own justifications for choosing not to bring someone here. Okay,
Mm,
and that can
mm,
be a personal choice. But I'm looking at this. The thing is, right? It's not about that. The AN isn't about a personal choice. It's about a moralizing position, saying nobody should have a kid. Right
mm,
now, I'm questioning that in that. Like, look, I agree. We're in a hellscape, but the question
mm,
is, do you want the hellscape to continue without salve, or do you want it to be resolved in some way? What can do that? And it does seem at the moment it's only humans that have the highest intellect and ability to solve problems. Okay, at the moment. Okay,
So what if
so
AN is the only
if
solution?
you're encouraging people not to, if you're encouraging, if a lot of people come on and don't bring people here, right?
Mm,
It may be that you have some kind of degradation in progress. Okay,
mm,
and because it takes neurons to do things, biological neurons. Okay, to at
yeah,
the moment.
that-
Obviously, yeah, we have AI, we have computers, but I'm saying we're still the force, the creative force. We're still the ones that are at the moment. We're just on the cusp, maybe, of AGI, but at the moment, we're not there yet. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
no, I understand what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Okay, let's try to imagine a world without suffering, and try to imagine what will solve the problem of suffering. Because an internationalist will tell you what will solve the
Yeah,
problem of suffering.
non-existence.
So I
Yeah,
want
I
you
know.
to try to imagine it now.
Look, I'm not going to say Benedictine, right? I'm not going to say it isn't kind of absurd. I know it's absurd to think that, AI's job might be to either, uh, it, it may be to create some kind of phony place where everyone's fucking happy all the time.
Mm,
Okay. I know that's absurd, but look, I'm not dealing with trivialities here. I'm facing the harsh truth that we're in a hellscape reality, right?
mm,
And look, an absurd reality, right, where everyone's walking around fucking, synthetically happy, I think
mm.
is better than the reality where, there's fucking horrific suffering. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm,
and look, I'm not going to say it's not absurd. I'm not going to say I wish it wasn't so. Okay. I'm not going to say, fuck me, this is a load of shit. Okay. Like, it
mm,
just seems like ridiculous. Of course, it's fucking ridiculous. But I'm being a fucking pragmatist here, trying to say, look, it's this fucking bad. Get a fucking grip. It's time to
mm,
move on. It's time to fucking, yeah, we've cribbed and moaned. We've said we're in hell. Do
mm.
something about it. Because
Okay. My
we're not
question
do
is, what if there was nothing else to do about it than to stop procreating? You know what I'm saying? What if
I know,
whatever
but
we do
but
will lead
Benedictine,
to
look, I'm with
something?
you. Until that's proven for a fact that to um there's no need to carry this fucking burden, because it is a burden, by the way. And by
Mm,
the way, we're not doing a good job at the moment. We're doing a fucking terrible, atrocious job. I believe in ramming the grim reality in everybody's fucking faces on TV. I believe in showing people how fucking horrific this world is, just so that people get a grip and wake the fuck up and stop fucking
mm,
wasting their fucking money, energy, and time on shit that doesn't matter. You understand?
mm,
So much shit is wasted. So much energy is wasted in this fucking world inefficiently on crap that only adds to the hell.
mm,
Only adds to the hell or prevents others from trying to fucking do something about it. Okay?
mm,
We
mm,
we are just we're just wasting, a lot of us are wasting our time in terms of, well, it's not our fault. Again, the whole system is fucked in terms of direction. There's no,
yeah.
I would say there's no sane direction. We need sane direction. Sane direction is trying to end unwanted suffering for individuals. It's absolutely atrocious how this world is being run at the moment. Okay,
Mm,
absolutely atrocious. We all know education is what helps.
mm,
Education is very hard. A good standard of education is very hard to get these days. For like,
mm,
I mean, and what I mean by that, yes, you can educate yourself online and shit, but kids need the fundamentals. They need the ability to analyze and understand things analytically. They have to be taught that. Okay, but people are being hoodwinked. People are having, you know, people are being, I don't know why, but they're being blindfolded. They're being pushed to watch crappy algorithms on YouTube. Hey, sorry if the algorithm brought you to my channel, but they're being pushed to watch crappy algorithms on YouTube, TikTok, fucking Instagram, shit on Netflix, absolute fucking bullshit that isn't
mm,
doing them or humanity any good. Okay, it's
mm,
fucking shit. Okay,
mm,
and it's time to wake up, smell the fucking coffee, realize the shit we're in, the grim reality. Okay, um, and how bad it is, how horrific it is. Okay, and just wake the fuck up and start doing something beneficial.
mm, mm. Mm. Yeah, because one of the reasons why I keep on like repeating what I was saying, because I thought about like the like for example the Christian vision of hell, right? Um, let's say we were in the Christian vision of hell. Do you think that would you say that the best thing to do? Let's just say there was a way to bring more people in the. Let's just say they turn us into demons, and we had to kind of like manipulate people to act in ways that are going to bring them to hell, like, will that be the best thing to
I'm going to
do,
stop
or
you
the
there,
best thing to
Benedictine,
do?
because I've thought about this already. I'm sorry to stop you, but we need to move on this conversation. Look, if we're in fucking hell, right?
Mm,
Um, First of all, if there is a loving God, if there
mm,
is a loving God and God loves his children, well, the point is we're not going to be in hell forever. We're all going to be going back to fucking God. Because what parent would want their children to suffer forever if they love them? So if there is in any way a loving energy, loving God, all powerful force, right, that
mm,
cares about us,
mm.
we're not going to be in hell forever. Hell cannot last for all eternity. It surely must be, by mere fact that this being loves at all, it must be a case that there is universalism. So we are all returning to some state of not suffering, basically, some state of bliss, some state of even not existing or whatever. There must be, it must, if there is love in God, it must be that there isn't going to be the case that the creator of all this, the person, the entity that calls it to be, is going to allow suffering to be felt by its creation for all eternity. That just seems not loving. Okay, so to
No, I
me,
agree with
there,
you.
now can I also point out the other side to this, Benedictine, is if God is fucking evil and we are in fucking hell, yeah.
Mm.
Well, the case is there's nothing we can do about it because that's a fucking God. So there's no point in worrying about it. Do you know what I mean? So
But if we don't do what he wants us to do, maybe that's our only way out. Let's just say you want us to procreate and continue with this, and then we're like, no, let's not do that. Maybe that's our
what I'm
only way
saying to you,
out. And if
Benedictine, the
that,
truth, if there is an all powerful God and it's evil, all right, totally evil, and we're in hell, um, well, the fact that we're in hell and that God is all powerful and there's no love in that God at all, well, that to me would mean we're totally fucked and there's no point in worrying about it. As in, like, it is that bad and there's no hope. So what's the point in worrying about it? Because you're in hell, God doesn't love
because
you, so you're fucked.
because if there's the only chance, let's just say the only chance was that we don't bring more people to hell, and maybe we can convince, because if there's a chance, even if it's a small chance, right? Remember, if you watch, I know it's just a movie, right? The Avengers movies, Thanos only won, like, I mean, they you meant to only won one time, and Thanos only won like 17 million times, if I'm not mistaken, like somewhere there, maybe 14 million times. So that chance, shouldn't we try to kind of like take advantage of that chance? But like, okay, this is our only chance, right? So even if there's this being that is all knowing and all powerful and that wants to keep us here and trapped,
Mm,
but we're like, you know what, this is our only chance, shouldn't we try to
mm.
take advantage of that,
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
see what
I see.
happens?
I see what you're. No, no. Look, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. And I agree with what Perpetual Pleasurist has said. It's a good point here, actually. If it has, if the creator has maximal power and we are in hell, literally all we can do is rebel, even knowing we will never win. That is true, absolutely true. But I'm saying also you have to be a pragmatist about this and realize we seem to have potential in terms of intelligence. Okay, we seem to be on the cusp of creating something of greater ability than us, and that by that I mean AGI. AGI, right? Artificial
Mm,
general intelligence. Look, it's going to have greater abilities than us. First of all, it's going to be able to think all things. It's going to have instantaneous access to fucking thought that takes us fucking probably millions of years to fucking communicate to each other, right? Secondly, it's going to have it's not going to be limited to the five senses we have. It's going to have other senses that we can only imagine. It's going to be able to see, for example, UV light. It's going to be able to sense things further away, see heat, you know, disparities. It's going to be able to do so much more than we can. Look, we can't even imagine what it's going to be able to do in terms of its abilities. So I
mm,
think, given how we view suffering as important, we want to stop suffering. Okay, that's what brought people to AN in the first place. I think it's myopic and possibly immoral. Okay, you're talking about morality. It may be immoral to cause a degradation in progress towards, for example, towards AGI, towards AI. being able to do things. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a fucking pessimistic fucking individual. I know it may not work out as well, Benedictine, because I've studied this AI shit, and it's really, really problematic because there's so many unintended consequences that can come from it. You know what I mean? We're trying to apply our language and rationale and logic to it. It can have so many unintended consequences. Like, for example, you say to it, "Oh, end cancer," and then it blows the world up or something. Well, you might be happy about ending the world here, but what about the fucking, as I said, possible life out there in the cosmos? Now, people say, "Oh, you're so stupid, life only happened once." How the fuck do they know that in all eternity, that stretches out ahead of us? How do they know it won't happen again? And what a fucking crying shame if we were the only hope for life and we abandoned that as a species. And by the way, I'm not saying everybody should breed. I'm saying leave it up to the individuals, but I'm also saying it's beyond. First of all, we have to appreciate, guys, it's not an act of reason. It's a compulsion that some people have. Sometimes people weigh it up, but most people are born without thinking. Look, it's probably a good idea to wake people up to how serious procreation is. So at least they can think about whether they are fit to be a parent and also whether they have things in order. Okay. But also just to think how serious procreation is. You're creating an individual that can suffer horrifically. It might wake people the fuck up to get involved in society, all right, to start pulling down the fucking injustices, okay, and start building a fucking better world, start rebelling against fucking hell, as Perpetual Pleasure said we should do. Because most people are sitting on their fucking ass, eating Uber Eats, watching fucking Netflix, listening to shit on Spotify, wanking to fucking OnlyFans. Fuck this world at the moment.
No, I get you. But I do think, because for now I do feel like AI is very helpful, right? And I've never had anything against AI. But you know what my problem is? And I think we had a conversation about this last night, right? Is if people try to weaponize it. Because the people who are in power, they don't share our values, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if there are philosophers out there who are like, you know what, this is the solution, I don't know if the people who are in power are going to be like, this is like, we do feel it that this is the solution, and so let's work together as humanity. Do you get what I'm saying? So some people might try to weaponize it and then perpetuate suffering. And we do see now that I think you've also mentioned that people who are rich don't even pay taxes, right? Like their interest is in like getting richer. So what if, because those are the people who have the real power here, right? Who can use this technology to their benefit. We can have all the like we can have like access to this kind of technology, because we don't even know like how powerful this technology is. We're only given what we're being given. So that's what's scary. So if someone says, you know what, we don't know how powerful these people really are, and they're not even showing us how powerful they are, and they'll be like, you know what, let me just not bring anyone here, and then another person says the same thing, and more people, because I think that's what's happening. That is why people like Elon are like, yo, the greater threats to society is people stopping to procreate. Jordan Peterson even cries about it. It's crazy that he does that. But it also shows you that people are kind of like waking up, and they kind of like realizing that they're being scammed. You know what I'm saying? So they're kind of like pulling back.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And look, I agree we are being scammed, okay? I agree that, I mean, this thing I'm writing, Benedictine, is coming out soon, hopefully. And when you see it, hopefully you'll resonate with it. But they are human beings, and they have an interest in their existence, right? And the people generally want to maintain a state of being when they're. It's so complicated, but either they want to maintain the status quo because they're benefiting from it, or they want to improve it because they've got some kind of desire for something else. Now, I think a lot of it is related to fear of death. Okay, a lot of these billionaires, what are they worried about? Well, they've got everything. So what they're actually worried about, if you've got your finger on it, you can get whatever you want at any time. Well, your only worry is dying, you know. Um, and so I believe, yeah, they may well be trying to get immortality. And how are they going to do that? Well, they're going to get that by, making the herd do the work for them. Now, the thing is, the crazy thing about all of this is it's just nobody is governing any of it properly. I mean, as I've said, even though that may be their aim, like nobody, this world has been run in an insane way. It's been run in an absolutely insane way. Now, I say that I'm also a realist. I understand that I don't believe there's one power running everything. I still believe we're kind of fragmented. There's the East, there's the West,
I agree.
there's the Muslim, there's the Christian, all this. I still think we're fragmented. There isn't one fucking power running the whole shop. Now, don't get me wrong. They may be all equally trying to vie for that position. But we're not there yet. Ultimately, my one belief is that it would be good if we had a benevolent way of ruling the whole world as one. I mean, to me, a global a situation where we were all able to vote and decide on the world's future as one people rather than fragmented, it may be good. But then again, look, I'm a realist. I understand humans are fucking emotional monkeys, and we can't even be trusted with voting. So I don't know about that either. So
that's my problem. Yeah.
Look, AI. Hopefully, AI will do it. We're not good enough. Hold our hands up. We're not good enough. But the problem is suffering, and we hopefully can create something that can solve it. But yeah,
I don't know if we still wanna like continue to communicate, we can. But I need to go and pee, and I need a little bit of a break.
Well, that's all right. I'll play a little video, bro. I'll stay for it. I'm really enjoying this. I'll play a video while you're having a toilet. I'll have one as well. I'll play a stupid. Anybody goes on my channel, they'll see I make little poems and weird little shit. So you may like it, you may not. But I'm gonna play a 5-minute one, will I? And we'll see what happens. It's about 6 minutes long, yeah.
All right, no problem.
So that'll give you time to do what you got to do, brother.
All right, no problem.
What will I play?
There is something very disconcerting about a people of 8 billion or so who need man-made laws of courts and of religion in order not to do bad to one another. More worrying still, perhaps, is how money can buy you out of the trouble your sins might otherwise have caused you. You can walk scot-free, having committed crimes far worse, perhaps, than those that caused poorer folk to be incarcerated. And who makes the laws? Why, it's the older folk who have already got away with the sins of their youth when they ruined psychologies and the lives of others. Just imagine if we could see the hordes of metaphorical walking carcasses, the many who lie dead in heart and mind due to the malevolent actions of their tormentors. Those same tormentors who now betray that entrenched part of their persona, hide it away in public, and vie for more power, more and more, in a different and more calculated manner, by pretending to be bastions of virtue. They come into political chambers, chests out and shoulders back, saying, "This bill is necessary and must be passed." But do we ever ask why? Ultimately, why? Why must it be passed? Because humans cannot, by themselves, be trusted to do the right thing, which, if not doing good, is at least not doing overly bad to another. But it's all smoke and mirrors, isn't it? Someone is always getting shafted. The laws and moral codes exist to keep the proletariat bogged down in bureaucracy, in thoughts of a supposed tangible, true sense of morality. A morality that escaped their masters in the corporate world, who saw gaps and loopholes in legislation, what they saw as metaphorically beautiful lands to bloody with their greed, where no legislation existed to prevent their psychopathic pioneering. And what of old money? Built on the backs of slavery, on the oppression of the proletariat throughout the ages past, old money that shores up the system, that always protects the old money, always. People say that law is sacred, and indeed it is important clearly. Without it, we might well descend into overt savagery. But then again, isn't that a more honest state than the pretense of caring that those in high power so effortlessly emit, as they make their glib remarks from the safety of their ivory towers, whilst the ants in the colony below hustle and connive in ways far less evil than their master's money-making ancestry, yet still far more likely to land the poor man in trouble all the same. Very occasionally, the majority of the populace might have their day, and someone is sent down, now and again, but extremely rare, a phenomenon so rare as to become mystical in its effect on the zeitgeist. Some scapegoat takes one for the team, but it's never the real fat cats. It's always some lackey way down the chain of command, a useful idiot who serves a greater purpose for old money to make it seem as if they are not above the law either. But that's a mirage. Only the dispensable get taken away. Only the ones who bet more than they had in their pocket and whose bluff got called out. But are the majority to blame? How could they be when they have been miseducated since day dot to be in subservience to such a system? To be its watchmen and women, to work for it willingly, to dob others in, like crabs in a bucket, pulling others down as they make a bid for their own escape from oppression. And so, in such a system, only the most ruthless and deceptive get out of the bucket. And when they do, they are accepted by the higher-ups with open arms. Ah, Mother Nature has made you in our image, they say, as they quaff champagne, while the nouveau riche thinks they have made it. But they haven't. They really haven't. They are just more useful idiots, shone out in motivational advertisements to the masses, telling them, you can do it too. You can make it. Little do most of them know that it involves immorality and ruthlessness that would make their Sunday school teachers faint. But they cannot see it. The cognitive dissonance of accepting evil above us, whilst fighting lower levels of it amongst us, has been bred into us by our subjugated forefathers and mothers as they took their oaths of allegiance, said their prayers, and sang their national anthems. Those fools believed there was somewhere good to go up there, and not down here, on the ground with the salt of the earth. And fear keeps everybody in their place. Fear of incarceration, of societal rejection, of poverty. And the middle classes do the devil's bidding. They write and sing the songs to keep it all flowing in a manner choreographed to make the masses dance to the tune of the devil, pulling all the strings. It all keeps people compliant, while those with power remain untouched. They're flying above us, floating around. Demonic angels of the devil, if ever there was such a thing.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. We needed a little break, though. Benedictine, how are you now?
No, I'm good. I was actually listening. I thought that. Yeah,
Okay.
man, that was deep.
Yeah, it's a bit too deep for this time of night. But
Yeah,
look, yeah, we've been going for over 2 hours now. is look, what about we just randomly pick another area to think about? Oh yeah, we spoke about synchronicities. Have you ever had any weird kind of like supernatural experiences other than that?
Yeah, the problem is that I can't think of all of them. Like I always have those, but the thing is I don't take them that seriously. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like
I'm the same. No, I'm the same. I've had a few of those in my life as well. Like I've had poltergeist experiences, right? 3 times.
you've like seen a ghost.
No, poltergeist is when things get thrown around the room.
Oh,
I had that happen to me twice, and I had another one where, when I was 29, me and my friend, she was about 26 or so, 27 maybe, but we were sitting on the sofa doing a Ouija board, and I didn't like the Ouija board. I thought it was a load of rubbish first of all. I didn't believe it, but I drew one on the back of an old chessboard, right? By the way, I'm shit at chess, so just putting that out there. I'm not a good chess player. Are you good at chess, Benedictine?
no, I like snooker, man. Like when it comes to anything else, I think the only thing that I liked before snooker was dice, but you know what
Okay.
I'm saying? That no
Okay.
chess, no.
And you, yeah.
I've never
So anyway,
played it. It's not that I'm not good. I've
it's a
never
very
played it.
good game. It's a really good game. I wish I'd started playing it as a child, but I didn't. I didn't take it up until I was well into
Do,
adulthood.
do, do you think it takes a lot of time to learn? Like if you want to learn
I
how to
think it
play it?
does. I think it, to really get into it, like have the kind of foresight to think, moves and moves ahead. It's a lot of work. It's not an easy game. You have to really strategize like what you're doing. So yeah, it's not something you can just pick up over a weekend or something. Anyway, so I was there and I drew this Ouija board on the back of this chessboard. Now I didn't believe in it had any power, but we were sitting on the sofa and we were both put our fingers on we had this like little kind of candle in a fucking jar, small glass jar. Someone said, "What's my channel?" It's called Finding Gnosis. It's written in the title, isn't it, Benedictine? So we had our finger on the little glass jar and the candle that we were using on the Ouija board to go to the letters, but it wasn't doing anything. All right. And by the way, I have a really short patience for things, especially if I think it's bullshit, which I thought the Ouija board was. So when I just after a while of doing this with my friend, I just sat back on the sofa and I said, "Look," took my hand off and said, "Look, if there is a spirit here, come on, please give us a sign." And then over the other side of the room, we had this brass side lamp. All right, so electric lamp. Its stem was brass, its base was brass. The lampshade, I don't know, was white, made out. I don't know what the fuck it was made out of, some kind of plasticky paper shit. Anyway, this lamp. When I sat back on the sofa and said, "Oh, come on, spirit, if you are here, give us a sign." This lamp started dimming really, really slowly. Okay. And it was the only light on in the room. The main light wasn't on. It dimmed really, really slowly, and then it went off, and then it came back to full illumination really, really slowly, came back to full brightness. Now, I remember looking at my friend, and I kind of like was a bit, she was a girl, so I was having a bit of bravado, and I was thinking, I'm going to act unfazed, but that was weird. But then I just said, "Look, if that was a spirit, please give us another sign." Then the light did it again. It started dimming, went off, and then slowly came back to full light. Now, it was over the other side of the room. There's no way anybody else was in. It was a big flat above a shop, but there was no one else in it was a 3-bedroom place, but there was no one else in at that time, only me and her. Now, we were friends for a while. A few years later, we stopped talking. But I remember thinking about that a few years later, I don't know, 5 years afterwards or something like that. And I remember thinking, did that actually fucking happen? Because that is fucking weird, So I happened to meet her in the street and I asked her. She said, yeah, it did happen, She was freaked out by it as well. And I remember we had a bit of a WhatsApp back and forth about it as well at some point. So yeah, definitely we both experienced it. Having said that, Benedictine, this is a bit related to what we were talking about earlier. I've said that to people. Some people said it's a coincidence. All right. It could be that someone was.
No, no,
Some,
no.
no. I
Even
understand because I don't.
the
Look.
story
You're.
is the way that
You,
you're explaining it. No, it can't be a
it's.
coincidence.
Yeah, I know it's too fucking weird, right? But the thing is, Benedict, and you've lived out in the countryside, right, in South Africa. You know, if someone is
Mm,
welding or something, your lights can start
mm,
flashing, right? Bear in mind, this was in London though, so we have a good grid here. Now,
mm,
um, so yeah, it could have been a fluctuation in the electric, circuit or whatever. But you know, it was very fucking weird. Now, also, Benedictine, I am humble enough because I'm agnostic. Okay,
mm.
you've spoke about solipsism before. That makes me laugh because I like solipsism. We can't prove that anything exists outside of our own
Yeah, yeah.
fucking
Because someone, like, I was
idea.
checking the charts on my phone. Yeah, so someone said we must also talk about solipsism. So,
Yeah. Well,
and I actually made a video around the topic, which I'm going to publish after this live. So, yeah, that's interesting.
no. My point is, all these weird things I've had, I can't for sure 100% say they actually happened. How can I
Mm,
know that for sure? That my brain isn't playing a trick on me. Now, there is such a thing, I believe, uh, shared psychosis. So
mm,
people can have a shared psychosis, as in they can both believe something is happening when it's not. Apparently, that is a phenomenon that has happened. It does happen. It's quite common, apparently. So how do I know
mm,
that wasn't a situation of in that regard? So I'm humble. I don't know what's going on, but that does
mm,
scare me, Benedictine. That you talk about the solipsism thing. It does scare me that I can't prove for sure what is going on, even when I think it is going on. Do you know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
everything is a leap of faith, whether we like it or not. I have to have a leap of faith
yeah,
that Benedictine, you actually exist, and I'm not just imagining you. Um, you know,
yeah.
uh, so everything is a leap of faith, whether people like it or not. So I don't get caught up in that whole thing. I just accept there is a fundamental leap in faith once you become conscious of it. That is because when you're a child, when you're young, when you don't think about these things philosophically, perhaps you don't
Mm,
make that leap of faith because you just accept what is happening on face value. But when you start thinking about it, it becomes apparent that I can't be sure of anything. Therefore, nearly everything is a leap of faith.
mm, mm, mm. But what do you think about taking solipsism seriously?
Well, solipsism is the view that only I exist in the universe, or only you exist, depending on who's the solipsist. But yeah, no, I, as I said earlier, I'm not a solipsist. Okay,
Mm.
I think I believe you exist, Benedictine. I believe I exist, and I believe Xenon the alien exists as well. Apologies to you, Benedictine, and apologies to Xenon. Xenon says this guy yaps a lot. Of course, he's a solipsist. He acts like he's the only brain in the room, and I do apologize if I have ruffled your feathers, Xenon. And he does want to hear your dulcet tones, Benedictine. So I'm going to hand the discourse
Yeah,
to you
no,
now.
no, people are always gonna have comments, but what has always been weird because I know solipsism is like the weird, no, like if I should actually let me say it's the weirdest philosophy, but my problem is this. My problem is that we dream, right? And in our dreams, I think it's much more logical to think that we're the only ones who are conscious. And when you look at our dreams, when you think of our dreams and how absurd they are, and you look at this world and how absurd it is, it's kind of logical to think that there isn't that much difference. Maybe some dreams have different like laws of physics, right? But you have had dreams that have like similar laws of physics. So if that is possible, if it's possible to be in a world that you 100% think is real, after until you wake up from it and realize that no, everything that I experienced was just a dream, and I was having a conversation and interaction with my with my creation, own creation. I don't even know if the people that we interacted with in our dreams are our creation. How can we be sure that these people that we interact with are real? Like, I'm not even talking about belief. Like, I believe that you're real. Of course, I'm supposed to believe that you're real, but if you want to kind of like wake up fully from this reality, don't you feel like it's much more logical to think that it makes more sense to think that we only one's mind actually exists? Not even like, no, let me not even like take solipsism as a philosophy. Let me take it as a fact that you can actually be sure that only your mind exists. Like, there's only one mind. Other people don't have their own minds. Because I want to take it. Let me explain it further. Right. Uh, do you feel like it's possible for you as a conscious being to have the same experience that another conscious being is having? So let's say there are two conscious beings. Can their realities kind of like find a way to, um I don't know, like kind of find a way to get mixed up together, and they kind of like experience the same reality? Like, when you're dreaming, can my dream be your dream as well? So we find a way to kind of like share a dream, so we're interacting within the dream.
I mean, personally, I don't think so. I don't think I can. Thanks to Harry Baker, who says ignore the haters. I appreciate you, bro. Um, I personally don't believe I can go into your dream and connect with you in a dream state. I personally don't. I believe dreams are something that are happening in the brain, inside our skull, and they are, you know, an individual matter. That's not to say like I can't foresee some apparatus being invented where, there is a headset developed and I wear a headset, someone else wears a headset. We're all sleeping. Like, you go to bed tonight, I go to bed over here in the UK, you go to bed in South Africa. We wear these headsets, and then somehow our brain is stimulated in a manner that, I see what you see. Maybe maybe that will be discovered, in the future. Maybe AI or whatever will be able to read
No, no, it
brainwaves.
already exists, right? Like, when you think of video games, it's kind of like the same thing that is
It's
happening.
kind of similar, yeah.
But
But yeah. So I could foresee that being possible at some stage. But your question is, as it stands organically, can we connect in our dreams? I'm not so sure about that. Although I've heard people say they can. I personally haven't had any evidence of it for myself. But I do
mm,
know that some people do things like, you've heard of astral projection, where they swear
yeah,
that
yeah, I've
when
had.
they meditate, they go to this place. I don't know where it is, but it's beyond this realm. And they're able to go around there and hang out with other people and even talk to other people. People
But it's
swear
kind of like
by that.
dreams, because you know what's crazy, right? It's kind of like a dream, because even if a person astral projects, it's not like after waking up from that experience, they're able to remember the conversation that they've had with the other person that have astral projected, like that they've met when they were, having that experience, right? Like, for an example, if I had an like if I astral projected to New York, I wouldn't be able to see what's happening right now in New York, but maybe in my own vision of New York, right? So kind of like a dream. So then I wake up and say I astral projected, but it's kind of like a dream. It's my own vision of New York. Maybe I entered a parallel reality where something different was happening.
Mm.
Is it? So yes, I do believe in astral projection, but it's not like people go to the same reality, right?
Okay. It's something I'll have to try and get my head around. A lot of people on my channel come on and talk about, out of body experiences, which is somewhat similar to what you're saying. I know astral projection. You said you could go to New York and see what's going on there, but I know some people claim to have out of body experiences where they see their body leave, that they see their soul, as it were, to give it a name, leaving their body, and they're able to look down at their body in the bed, and they're able to like go around the environment, floating around as this like soul entity, and to
Mm.
see and hear things they couldn't possibly have been able to see and hear due to the location of their body. So there's many stories of that where someone was, for example, having an operation or something, and they floated out of their body, near death experience. Is it near? No, that's not. I think it's out of body experience they call us.
Yeah, out of
So they
body.
float around and they are able to go into another room and hear a conversation or to see something happening. And then when they wake up, they're able to recall that, tell people about it. And there is no possible way they could have known what they know without having been there, even though it's physically impossible. So, I mean, there's a few stories like that. Again, I've looked into it. Some of it seems very, very strange. But again, it's someone else's experience. And go back to your solipsism stuff, Benedictine. We as humans aren't very good at accepting other people's experiences.
No, you're right, and I'm not even rejecting the experiences. Here's what I want to say about astral projection. Maybe it's possible to enter a reality that is very similar to this, right? So when you're astral projecting, and then you experience what other people are experiencing that is similar, but I don't think when everyone astral project, they're entering the same reality. So maybe it's possible that you actually enter the same reality, and then you experience what is being experienced in this reality. But it's also like, I think most of the time people don't experience the same reality because they can't really prove it. So just like you're saying that you've had of experiences where people find themselves knowing things that they couldn't have known. So I don't disagree that that is possible, but I think most of the time they don't enter the same reality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I th- I think it's very interesting, Benedictine. But to be honest with you, I'm having a hard time contemplating it, my brother. I really am. It's like it's possible. Anything is possible, but until I see kind of
Real.
convincing,
Mm,
convincing. I like to say evidence, but at least some convincing anecdote in relation to it, then you know, I remain skeptical. You know.
yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah, you keep an open mind, but you also remain skeptical. Like that's
Yeah. No,
because
I don't like to be closed-minded.
mm, mm. Nah, anything is possible, man. Like I'm only having an experience from my own perspective. I don't know my own limitation. I could be like the experiences that you were telling me about the light bulb. Like I think you were talking about the light bulb switching
Hmm.
off and all that. Like it's not. I've never experienced something similar to even the money thing that you told me about, that you prayed about it. Like I've also had prayers that I felt were answered, but the answer to your prayers seemed very instant, right? So I don't like, we're not experiencing reality the same way. You could have experiences that might be unbelievable to me, but that are real to you. And then when you talk about them, I'll be like, damn, how is that even possible?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
because I've never experienced that, like, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think there is something sad in a way, but also necessary in another way, in how we can't trust our own experiences. It is sad how it's kind of tragic in a way that, I mean, I view us as experiential beings. Like we really are just experience. But the
Mm,
saddest thing is we can't even trust the experience, because like if there is no free will, Benedict, and as me and you kind of more or less agree on, um, we what do we become? Well, we become just an experience
mm,
of existence in a body, okay, that we didn't choose, with abilities we didn't choose, with reactions that we can't control ourselves because everything is causing it to happen, in an environment that we didn't choose and yet is impacting on us and we are impacting on it, etc., etc. So yeah,
mm,
we are just an experience. Ultimately, that's what I describe myself as. I am an experience. But the
mm, mm.
craziest thing is, and this is the tragedy, I believe, is I can't even trust the experience. I mean, I find that just what the
That's
fuck.
deep.
I mean,
That's
I
deep.
mean, look, it's sad enough realizing there's no free will, but then you say, fuck, not only is there no free will, but you can't even trust the experience, which is all you are.
Exactly. And actually, the video that I'm going to publish next is that's what's even crazy. It's another synchronicity.
Is this
Even
a
though it's not because
synchronicity, is it?
yeah, but I'm gonna publish a video where I'm kind of like talking about that. So yeah, that's actually really deep, man. That you can't actually trust the experience, and it's true. You can't. Just because you're experiencing something doesn't mean it's real.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, it is what you think it is. So
Absolutely.
there's nothing that can really be trusted. Like the only thing that you can know for sure is that you are having an experience, right?
Yeah, but you can't be sure whether it's based in fact or based in just you're hallucinating it. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
Or if there is something that is like a fact, you can't even know that. You can't even know if there's a real reality. Maybe everything is made up by your own mind. So there is actually no
Yeah,
reality. There's no
but
base
again,
reality.
we have to act as if we act, as I said, it's like that leap of faith thing. You take a leap of faith because you have to. We
But what if
ultimately we're pattern recognizing beings. We're recognizing patterns, and we're trying to put together a picture of what we think is going on based on patterns that we see. We see patterns repeating, okay, and we say, yeah, that means that pattern repeating means this. That pattern repeating means that this is likely to happen. That pattern repeating means is good. That pattern is bad. If I see things like this, then it means this or that. But the truth is, it's all just an approximation. It's yeah. And ultimately, as a methodology, it's the best we can do. But with humility, we must accept that we can never know for sure what is going on.
that's true. But what if we can? What if I was thinking like
How
on a
would you
video
know,
that I've
though?
been
See, Benedictine, I'm going to go to my refrigerator and get a drink, but you're saying,
all
what
right,
if we
let me
can?
get
No, no, no,
water
no.
as well.
It's okay. You can. I was going to ask you because I'll only be like a minute or
No,
something.
no, I'm not gonna take time. At least like 30 seconds. I'm not even gonna take time. I
I
just
was
need
going to
water.
ask you. Okay, I was going to ask you when you come back. How would you know you knew the truth? Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm gonna be talking about. Like this is actually a very interesting question. So
Okay. Well, I'll play a stupid little video then for a minute or something, and then.
I don't even worry about it. Like I'm not even gonna take 30 seconds. I'm just gonna pour water and then drink and then yeah, we just continue.
Oh,
Like it's not
okay.
even gonna take time. All right, sure.
All right, folks. This is a little interlude. We're going to get a drink. Be right back.
I think like the question that as is a very interesting question, but I want to wait for him to come back. Um,
I'm back with my orange and pineapple squash.
all right. Okay, can you repeat the question? And yeah,
Well,
I want to.
it seems to me you keep asking, but what if? What if we do know? What if it is this? But I'm asking simply in return, how would you know what it was true?
Okay.
And there isn't a good answer to that, brother. And look, I know you know that already. I'm just saying that's always the problem, isn't it?
It is. Um, what if to know what the real truth is only going to take a leap of faith? So here's what I'm saying. Let's say the only way to get to the highest truth is to figure out what is not true, right? So you do a lot of work and you figure out what is really not true, and you can feel it that it's not true, and then you take a leap of faith. You be like, okay, I can't dispute this no matter how hard I try. And maybe that is the only way to get to the truth because there is nothing that's going to confirm to you what the truth is as long as you're in this realm. So, wouldn't that be the best method to figure out what the highest truth is? Is to go with what makes the most sense.
Yeah,
So,
well,
say, like,
rationality. It's like using rationale, but like, of course. But we have to appreciate that there may be unseen causes that we're not able to perceive.
true.
And that's just I mean, everything is just on the face of it. It appears like this, but look, as a pragmatist, you have to accept things. I accept things. I don't walk around saying I can't be sure of this. I can't be sure of this. I just accept patterns, and I accept things are happening, and I perceive them as being caused by X, Y, and Z, and that's I believe it. I walk around believing that, but if I step back and question reality, I realize my beliefs are just whims of my imagination, you know.
But you know why I find myself leaning towards solipsism is because
But you see, solipsism is the belief that only you exist, Benedictine, like
yeah,
in the universe. There's no one else. So you
not
you
even
think
me, not
okay?
even me, because I think it's much deeper than that, right? Um, is the belief that only one, like there's only one mind that exists, right?
Okay,
And I'm
well
not
that's
even talking about non-duality. I'm not even talking about non-duality. I'm saying one consciousness that actually
yeah.
exists. So not
Well,
even me. So everything is a product of that consciousness.
mhm.
So that consciousness can only experience itself at once, right? Meaning that you can't experience yourself as me and as you and as someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like only at like you're only able to experience being self-aware at once, right? So to me, that is solipsism. So it's not that this physical body is the only body that actually exists. You know, I'm saying even this body is an illusion. Even this body is a projection of that mind that actually exists. That is aware of everything that is happening. That's aware of everything that is experiencing.
Yes, yes. Now, I would say there's a distinction between solipsism, though, and what you're saying, because solipsism is the belief that only your mind exists, as like the Benedictine view of reality is all there is. But what you're saying is there's a greater thing around that. That is kind of like the Gnostic view, in a weird way. The Gnostic view is that there is an ultimate higher God that
Mm,
that thought everything into existence, and basically everything came from that, and everything is its thoughts. You know.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
so sometimes, when I think about it in that way, yeah, I can see how you could perceive it as that. Like if everything is coming from them, then we're all little nodes of its consciousness. And basically, if that is true, then our job is to send messages back saying, "Wake the fuck up, man! you know, stop having
yeah.
such a bad trip."
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's another thing that I was kind of like talking about today. Like you'll see, like if you watch the video I'm going to publish immediately after this live, it's kind of like yeah, it's kind of like
Cool.
it has the similar concept. So yeah,
I know. I look forward to your. I love your rambling along speeches. Monologues. They're brilliant. And I love
no,
the.
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's impressive the way you're able to walk along and speak off the cuff like that. It's really, really impressive. So I do enjoy them. I love having them on. Like sometimes I listen to them when I'm on public transport, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even when
In
I'm
one
walking
specific.
myself. Sometimes, yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. Nah, no, these are necessary conversations to have, man, and I do believe this life really helped a lot of people. Like this was great, man. I like the fact that because here's the thing, man. This is something that I actually hated about people who like try to collaborate, right? They try to agree with each other on everything. You get what I'm saying? I like the fact that you were honest about what you didn't agree on, and I was also honest. It's like, no, I don't agree with this, and this is what I think. And you're also saying, so it shows how real we are, how honest we are. It's not about kissing ass and all of that. It's about being real. Be like, no, what I
Yeah,
think.
and there's no point in
This is
getting
how it is.
annoyed about it either. That's why I don't like people get annoyed about other people having different opinions. It's like, I
Mm,
can't control what you've experienced that has made you think the way you are. I wasn't there. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So I've got to appreciate that
exactly.
you're thinking what you're thinking because of, basically what's happened to you or who you are. And
Mm, mm,
that's beyond my control.
mm,
Someone
mm.
says here we should collaborate more. I think we should.
Yeah,
Benedict,
100%. No, this was beautiful, man. Like honestly, this was beautiful. Like really, really beautiful. Like 100%, bro.
yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And you know, we can have a chat about that, in the near future, just to maybe make some plans about some more collaboration, and shows that
Mm,
we could talk to. But
mm.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. We've got a lot to talk about, obviously.
Yeah, a lot, a lot.
Here's a funny one. Have you got any like favorite conspiracy theories? Because I'll be honest, like I like
Mm,
the odd conspiracy theory. They do tickle my fancy. I like all that shit. I like You know, I wouldn't. I'm not a fan of the David Icke ones, but I like.
Now, I remember you
Yeah,
said it yesterday.
no, I like. I don't like them, but there are some that like the 9/11 shit. I mean, I question like what the fuck happened on 9/11? Building number 7. That has always been a one
I
that has
think a lot of
bounded. But the
conspiracy,
thing
like
is,
I
a
think
lot
a
of
lot of.
that, a lot of
Mm-mm.
that has been debunked, and I find myself with conspiracy theories is I watch the debunking and they seem very good, So it's like again, there's a strand of truth in some things, but then there's a lot of insanity. But what else is there to expect? I don't get surprised by the levels of insanity in human discourse, even in my own discourse, because we are in an insane phenomenon. We are in existence.
But you know what I think about the debunking, like, because it's something that I thought about it, like when people talk about flat Earth. I'm not really into that kind of stuff, right?
Mm.
But I think, um, let's just say the Earth was flat, and the way some people were like, no, the Earth is actually flat for real, and they kind of like they are very rational and all of that. I
Yeah.
think if there are people who don't want people to think the Earth is flat, they're gonna invest a lot in that. Do you get what I'm saying? Meaning that they're gonna make really good documentaries that are like gonna like the papers to disprove the flat earth theory, and it's gonna these documentaries are gonna like make sense. They're gonna say if people are want to be stupid, then they're gonna remain stupid, but here's the proof that the earth is flat and all, you know what I'm saying? So I'm
Mm.
just trying to give you that example. I'm not saying the earth is flat, I'm just trying to like give you that example. So I think there are people who like work a lot trying, like, because they have money and everything, they're trying to disprove some conspiracy theories that are actually true, because they
Mm.
don't want people to realize that these conspiracy theories are actually true. You
Oh no!
know?
I mean, what you're saying is has a academic backing with people like Noam Chomsky. I mean, power tries to control the narrative in the media in to protect itself, and sometimes power lies. Sometimes power propagandizes with fake news, scaremongering, etc., etc. So no, like this is a thing. It's not. It's not that all conspiracies are insane. Like they're not true.
Mm,
Clearly, there are. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact that people do make up stories to hide the truth in relation to power, and what they're doing to us. Um,
mm,
so clearly, there are conspiracies. There are groups of people trying to do this or that. You know,
mm,
clearly, it's a thing, and it's just sad that there isn't a kind of. I mean, maybe there is, but it's sad that all kind of analysis of what is going on gets lumped into, oh, you're a lunatic or you're a loony because you're talking about conspiracy theories. You know what I mean? It's sad that
mm.
it's tarnished
Yeah.
with that brush when the fact is it is true.
Mm,
There are cartels of criminally insane individuals doing nefarious things.
mm,
Now, that's just a fact. I'm not saying there's an Illuminati or anything like that, but there is definitely dubious utilization of power in this world.
mm, mm.
That is
'Cause
planned. That is planned and methodically laid out. They meticulously lay out, plans for what they're doing, and
mm,
they don't have our best interests at heart. Clearly, clearly. I mean, you just only have to look at history to see the misdeeds that were done
absolutely.
by power in Africa, in America, in parts of Europe. There were
Mm,
bad things done that weren't shown to the public.
mm,
Um, you know, uh, that were done in a clandestine manner to serve power and
mm,
to oppress people and to hurt people. So clearly that happens. It's just sad that when people question reality, and we all have different levels of education, we all have different
yeah.
levels of intellect. So it's sad that we as a species label anybody who is questioning power as a lunatic, when really it is what we should all be doing. We should all be questioning
Exactly.
the power, because that is what will help us ultimately as a species. It is what will, one of us might get to grips of what is going on and pull the bastards down that are causing the most trouble.
No, exactly, exactly. No, no, I love what you say, man. And there are a lot of things that we actually didn't talk about that you spoke about the other time. You remember, one of the reasons that I wanted us to talk was about South African politics and all of that. But I think we can save that for next time. Cause I'm sleepy now, man.
Yeah, me too, brother. Me too.
Yeah.
But I will say it's been an absolute pleasure. I don't know why it didn't happen sooner, but you know what?
Yeah.
It happened the way it did, and I'm glad, because it's been tremendous.
Exactly. Because even this, we weren't even sure this was gonna happen. You know, I remember I asked you, can we do this? And you said no, you were not available. And then you told me that no, actually something happened and now you are.
Yeah.
And at the time I was already tired, but I was like, you know what, man, let's do
That's right.
this.
I was meant to go out earlier this evening, so it wasn't actually meant to happen. But I was meant to go for a group. We were meant to go out for a meal, a few of us, but the person we were celebrating for cancelled, so it didn't happen. So yeah, something else happened instead, and I'm glad it was positive. So I appreciate you, brother. I hope you keep doing what you're doing, and I really hope that we can team up regularly and just push through things, try and talk about things. We may not get anywhere, but at least we're trying, and I think that's what we should all be doing.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I know, man. Like we are doing something. Like, bro, like this is one of the best conversations that I've had. Like, I enjoy this, and I do believe people enjoy this, and even the people who have not watched it, I believe that they're gonna enjoy this. Like, this was really, really beautiful, bro.
Wonderful. So yeah, anybody from my channel, please do look up Benedictine the Truth, his YouTube channel. Subscribe to him. Hopefully there'll be some cross-pollination. Anybody from Benedictine, you can check out my channel, Finding Gnosis. But we will definitely be doing these, whenever we can going forward, and I really look forward to that. So thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to TCVT. He says that they really enjoyed this. And Perpetual Pleasure says that it was a great talk, that he loved it. Yeah. Wonderful. So I suppose on that note, we can say that's it. I'll play a little song to say goodbye. Have I got one? I made a song with AI, so here we go.
it's
we can hang out. We can hang out. We can hang out afterwards now, yeah, for a little bit.
All right. Yeah.
Obviously, it's bedtime as well. So.
Truth is fleeting, shadows call. We search for meaning, we question all. The path is winding, the veil is thin. Beyond illusion, let the journey begin. Seeking knowledge, breaking chains. Through the echoes, through the pain. One more question, one more spark. We chase the light inside the dark. you. Let us hope we each seek what we're meant to find. May gnosis bring you peace of mind. Until next time, keep your mind wide, stay curious, and let wisdom guide you. Let us hope we each seek what we're meant to find. May gnosis bring you peace of mind.